through life untouched by insults, unaffected by praise, and calm even in chaos. Not because you're cold or numb, but because you're free. Free from emotional chains, free from letting other people's moods control yours. But tell the truth. How often have you felt hijacked by someone else's anger, judgment, or approval? How many times have you lost your peace because someone pushed a button inside you? The way you manage your emotions decides the quality of your life. If your reactions are chosen calm and guided by reason, then no one, not critics, not liars, not even loved ones, can pull your strings. But if you let your emotions be controlled by what others do or say, you're not free. You're owned. Today, you're going to learn the tools that will make you emotionally untouchable. These aren't just common tips. These are powerful Stoic techniques used by warriors, emperors, and thinkers to gain unshakable peace in the middle of storms. So get ready, because after this, your emotions will no longer be anyone else's playground. But before we begin, make a promise to yourself. Write in the comments, "Starting today, I take back my emotional power. I am Stoic." This isn't just a sentence, it's a signal to your brain, a decision to no longer give people the power to disturb your peace. So write it down now, say it with full belief, and let's begin. Number 1. Practice internal permission slips. You don't have to believe everything people say about you. Read that again. How many times have you felt hurt, judged, embarrassed, or even proud because of someone else's words? A compliment made your day. An insult ruined your mood. A few harsh words made you doubt your worth. But ask yourself this: who gave them that kind of power? Who opened the door and invited their opinion to control how you feel? Here's what the Stoics knew: no opinion can harm you unless you let it in. That's the secret. That's the shield. They called it emotional gatekeeping. Before any emotion takes root, it first needs your permission. So here's the tool. Start practicing internal permission slips. Whenever someone says something, good or bad, pause for just a second and ask yourself, did I authorize this opinion to enter? Don't react right away. Don't automatically accept it. Let that question sit in your mind like a guard standing at the door of a fortress. That fortress is you. If someone calls you a failure, it's only true if you sign the paper. If someone tells you you're amazing, it's only meaningful if you accept the compliment like a contract. But the moment you decide not to sign, guess what? The words lose all their power. This doesn't mean you ignore feedback. It means you become the filter. You decide what stays and what goes. You stop letting strangers decide your emotional weather. Think of it this way. Imagine your mind as a castle. Every thought, every comment, every opinion is a traveler knocking on the gate. Some come bearing gifts. Some come with poison. But nothing gets in unless the gatekeeper opens the door. And you, the Stoic, are the gatekeeper. Let's say someone says, "You're so selfish." That's the knock. In the past, you might have opened the gate wide, let that insult march into your heart, and start building a camp of insecurity, but not anymore. Now you ask, did I authorize this? If the answer is no, the insult bounces off like a pebble against stone. This is not denial, it's discernment. You're not pretending the insult didn't happen. You're simply refusing to feed it. You're choosing not to give it a home inside your mind. The same applies to praise. Yes, praise can be dangerous too. People don't realize this, but the more you depend on compliments to feel good, the more power you give away. You become addicted to approval. You start chasing validation. You forget how to feel confident without someone clapping for you. So even when someone says, "You're brilliant," practice the same drill. Ask, did I authorize this to define my worth? If yes, you'll start needing that praise more and more. If no, you smile, appreciate the kindness, but stay grounded in who you are, with or without applause. This is what emotional sovereignty looks like. You stop outsourcing your self-worth to the opinions of others. You stop being a puppet on a string, moved by every comment or look or review. Train this skill every day. Next time someone criticizes or praises you, don't respond right away. First, pause. Ask your mind the question. Feel that space between their words and your reaction. In that space, you'll find your power. Because the truth is simple. No one can make you feel small unless you hand them the key. So from now on, protect your gate. Guard your peace. And remember, every emotion that enters must pass through the gate of permission. If it didn't get your approval, it doesn't belong inside. Let that be your daily mental discipline. Let that be your silent Stoic oath. Number 2. Turn criticism into an emotional echo test. Not every insult is about you. In fact, most aren't. But we forget that, don't we? Someone throws a harsh word our way, and we instantly absorb it. We let it hit. We take it personally. Like a sponge, we soak in the poison. But here's the truth the Stoics understood. And it changes everything. Every insult is an echo, not a truth. An echo of the speaker's pain, fear, or frustration, not a statement about your worth. So next time someone criticizes you, don't respond with shame. Respond with curiosity. Ask yourself, what is this echoing? Not in you, but in them. Let's break it down. If someone says, you're selfish, stop, breathe. Don't jump into defense mode. Instead ask, what does this reveal about their unmet need? Maybe they're feeling ignored. Maybe they're struggling to be seen. Maybe they've been giving too much and are desperate for a return. Their criticism, it's not a fact. It's a mirror reflecting their internal world. This is what the Stoics called depersonalization, the skill of removing yourself from the center of someone else's storm. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." And Epictetus reminded us, it's not things that upset us, but our judgment about things. The moment you stop judging criticism as truth, it loses its sting. Think about this. When a child throws a tantrum and says, "You're the worst," do you believe them? Of course not. You see it for what it is, a cry of frustration, not a valid judgment. But when an adult throws their own version of a tantrum, through sarcasm, gossip, or passive-aggressive comments, we suddenly forget to zoom out. We make their pain our identity. But here's the shift. Practice the emotional echo test. Every time you feel the urge to personalize criticism, pause and ask, what wound is this echoing in them? That person who called you lazy. Maybe they grew up with unrealistic standards. Maybe they're afraid of their own inaction and are projecting. That manager who micromanages and criticizes every little thing. Maybe they're drowning in anxiety. Maybe they've never felt in control. It's not about excusing their behavior. It's about reclaiming your peace by refusing to let their echo become your story. This mindset won't just protect you, it will humble you. You'll start seeing others not as enemies, but as people trying to cope with their own storms. And suddenly, what once offended you now reveals a lesson. Let's go deeper. The Stoic doesn't waste energy fixing what doesn't belong to them. If someone hands you a rotten fruit and says, "This is who you are," you don't have to take it. You can look at it, see it for what it is, rotten, bruised, not yours, and walk on. You don't argue with echoes, you observe them. This is emotional maturity. This is control. So try this. Next time someone criticizes you, don't react. Don't rush to defend or explain. Just ask, what is this really about? Look beyond the words. Look beyond the tone. See the hurt, the fear, the unmet need beneath it. That's where their comment came from. And once you see it, it won't stick to you anymore. It's like standing in a cave. Someone shouts. The sound bounces off the walls. It echoes. But it's not about you. It's just sound hitting stone. Let the criticism be sound. Let it bounce. And let it pass. Because once you learn to hear the echo, no insult can find a home inside you. Number 3. Master the art of deliberate delay. Have you ever said something in anger and regretted it the moment it left your mouth? Or reacted too quickly, only to wish later you had paused, just for a second, before replying? We've all been there. And that moment, that small gap between stimulus and response, is where our entire power lies. The Stoics knew this, and they trained for it. Marcus Aurelius, writing in the silence of the early morning before the chaos of Rome could reach him, practiced a simple but life-changing habit. He didn't jump when emotions pulled. He paused, and in that pause he whispered to himself, "Not yet." That's the art of deliberate delay. It sounds small, it sounds simple, but don't let that fool you. This is one of the most powerful emotional techniques ever discovered, because the truth is, every emotion wants your immediate reaction. Anger wants you to lash out, fear wants you to run, pride wants you to defend, but the moment you say, "Not yet," you break the chain. You turn off autopilot. Let's say someone criticizes you in public. Your face heats up, your fists clench, you're ready to fire back. That's the automatic path, that's the easy road. But instead, the Stoic breathes and inserts a buffer. Just 3 seconds. That's all you need to go from reaction to response. In that short space, you reclaim your awareness. You ask, what is the wisest thing to do here? And you wait, just long enough to choose. Think of your mind like a room filled with doors. When emotion hits, the first door that flings open is usually the worst one. Attack, retreat, yell, defend. But if you wait, if you hold that emotional line for just 3 seconds, other doors begin to appear. Doors labeled understanding, peace, strategy, silence. The Stoics believed that discipline wasn't just about action, it was about inaction too. The strength not to do something, not to send the message, not to yell the comeback, not to feed the fire. And here's what happens over time. The more you practice deliberate delay, the stronger your emotional muscles grow. Your reflexes shift. You stop living like a firecracker and start living like a flame, controlled, steady, powerful. Think of a master swordsman. He doesn't swing wildly. He waits. He reads. He studies. He makes one calm move. And it's enough. You don't need to react to every poke. You don't need to jump at every emotional tug. You need space. And space comes from delay. Here's how to train it. Every time you feel something rise, annoyance, anger, defensiveness, practice saying silently in your mind, "Not yet." Then count slowly to 3. Breathe in, breathe out, and watch how your mind starts offering new options, wiser options. Deliberate delay isn't weakness, it's control. It's the ability to stand still in a world that wants you to panic. It's self-mastery. So the next time your emotions try to hijack you, remember this. There's a moment, just a small one, where you get to decide who's in charge, you or the impulse. That moment is your power. Use it. Number 4. Schedule emotional weather checks. You check the weather before leaving the house, right? If it's going to rain, you grab an umbrella. If it's sunny, you dress light. Simple. But here's a question. When was the last time you checked the weather inside your own mind? Most people go through the day carrying emotional storms without realizing it. They feel heavy, agitated, anxious, but they never stop to ask, where did this feeling come from? Is it even mine? And that's how peace gets clouded. That's how clarity disappears. The Stoics had a solution for this, and it's time you make it part of your day. It's called the emotional weather check. Twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, pause whatever you're doing and simply ask yourself, what emotion am I carrying right now? Don't judge it. Don't fight it. Just name it. Like you would say, it's cloudy today. Say, I feel irritated, or I feel calm, or I feel tense, but I don't know why. This small act is powerful, because naming a feeling takes it out of the shadows and brings it into the light. And once it's in the light, it stops controlling you. But don't stop there. After naming the emotion, go one step further. Is this mine, or did I pick it up from someone else? Because a lot of what we carry emotionally isn't even ours. Maybe your partner woke up in a bad mood, and now you're carrying tension that doesn't belong to you. Maybe someone at work dumped their stress onto you, and now you're walking around with a burden you didn't choose. Maybe you scrolled social media and absorbed negativity without even noticing. The Stoics taught that we must become the guardians of our inner world. That means we don't just accept any feeling that shows up. We examine it. We question it. We decide if it gets to stay. Think of your mind like a clear window. Throughout the day, fingerprints, fog, and dust blur the view. If you never stop to wipe it clean, eventually you can't see what's real anymore. Everything feels overwhelming, but you don't know why. The emotional weather check is your daily wipe of the glass. And here's what's amazing. The more you practice this, the faster you catch emotional infections before they spread. You become aware of mood shifts. You notice when someone else's bad energy is rubbing off on you. You learn to say, wait, that's not mine. I don't have to carry that. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. Because clarity is strength. Clarity is peace. Let's keep it simple. Set 2 reminders on your phone. One in the morning, right after you wake up. One in the evening, before bed. Label them emotional weather check. When they go off, stop for 30 seconds. Ask the 2 questions. What am I feeling right now? Is this mine, or did I pick it up from someone else? Breathe, reflect, let go of what isn't yours. Accept what is, but do both with calm, non-judging awareness. Because the moment you become aware, you take back control. Most people are tossed around by the emotional winds of others, but not you. Not anymore. You check the weather. You choose your coat. You walk forward with clarity, no longer soaked by someone else's storm. Number 5. Journal the identity disruption. Ever notice how some words hurt more than others? Not because they're louder, not because they're true, but because they hit something personal, a nerve, a self-image, a piece of who you think you are. You're lazy. You're a bad parent. You're not that smart. These phrases don't just sting randomly. They sting because they poke at your identity, the image you hold of yourself. The more tightly you grip that image, the more power others have to hurt you. And that's why the Stoics taught this. If you want to stop being emotionally hijacked, you must learn to see where the ego ends and where your true self begins. Start with this practice. Journal the identity disruption. It's simple. Every time someone's words or actions shake you, make you angry, hurt, offended, or defensive, pause and write one thing. What part of myself am I trying to protect? That's the question. That's the doorway to emotional freedom. Let's say someone calls you lazy, and it burns. Why? Because maybe you see yourself as hardworking, responsible, driven, and that insult threatens your image. Not your actual self, but your idea of yourself. Or maybe someone says, "You're not very confident." You flare up inside, not because it's true, but because you've spent years trying to prove the opposite. It pokes your narrative. Now look deeper. Is that narrative helping you or trapping you? The Stoics had a powerful view of identity. They believed the core self was not your title, your reputation, or even your personality. It was your virtue, your choices, your character. Everything else? Just labels, costumes, temporary roles you play. Seneca once said, "They struck a mask," meaning if someone insults your job, your looks, your habits, they're not hurting the real you. They're just hitting the mask. But the problem is, most people believe they are the mask, so they feel every punch. That's why journaling matters. Each day, write down what insult or interaction triggered you. Then ask, what part of my identity did this poke? Why does that identity mean so much to me? Am I confusing this label with my worth? This kind of reflection separates you from the ego. It loosens your grip on the image, and the moment you loosen that grip, the insults lose their venom. They might still hit, but they won't stick. Here's what you'll discover. The more you journal the identity disruption, the less defined you become by external approval. You stop being the smart one, the nice one, the strong one, and start becoming someone deeper, grounded, present, aware. So start tonight. Grab a notebook, open a page, title it Identity Disruption, and every time you feel emotionally shaken, come back to that page. Explore it, unpack it, see what you're defending, and ask if it's really worth defending. Because when you no longer need to protect an image, the world loses its weapons against you. And that is what freedom feels like. Number 6. Memorize the false self-attack rule. What if you knew that 90% of your emotional pain didn't actually touch you, but only the image of you? That's the Stoic truth. Most of the things that hurt you, shame you, anger you, don't actually reach your essence. They strike something else, something thinner, something built, a role, a label, a mask. And that's where the pain lives. Not in your soul, but in the mask you've mistaken for your soul. This is the false self-attack rule. Memorize it, live by it, let it become your armor. Here's how it works. Whenever someone insults your appearance, your job, your intelligence, your social status, they're not attacking your true self. They're attacking the outer shell, the version of you that society, reputation, and ego have shaped. And if you cling to that version, every comment becomes a wound. But if you can let go of the mask, the attack passes right through, like a punch thrown at a shadow. Seneca captured this perfectly when he said, "They struck a mask." 4 words that can save you years of suffering. He didn't say, "They struck me." He said, "They struck the mask." Because he knew what they see isn't all that you are. Let's say someone says, "Your job isn't impressive." That stings if your identity is built on status, if you are your title. But if you know that your value comes from your virtue, your patience, your discipline, your honesty, then what they said doesn't land. Or someone says, "You're not attractive." That burns. If you think your beauty is your worth, if you believe your appearance is your identity, but if you've trained your mind to know, my body is not my soul, my face is not my core, the insult falls flat. They struck the mask. Most people don't even know they're wearing one. They walk around defending labels. I'm successful, I'm nice, I'm strong. And when those labels are threatened, they panic. Because if the label cracks, they fear they'll fall apart too. The Stoic sees this differently. The Stoic builds identity on something no one can touch. Not status, not beauty, not wealth, but virtue, character, inner alignment. That's the self you protect, not the mask. So how do you apply this rule? Simple. The next time someone insults you, pause and ask, what part of me are they really attacking? My essence or my mask. 9 times out of 10 you'll realize it's the mask, the role, the surface. And that awareness alone breaks the spell. The sting fades, the comment becomes noise. This isn't about being emotionless, it's about being unhooked, untouchable, centered in something deeper than image. You were not born to be a mask. You were born to be a presence, a principle, a soul rooted in truth, not costume. So carry this sentence with you everywhere. They struck a mask. I am not the mask. Repeat it until it replaces your old reflex, until you no longer defend the role, until no insult can find a place to land. Because when you stop confusing who you are with what others see, you become unshakable. You stop bleeding from wounds that were never meant for your skin. Number 7. Use the God's eye view drill. When you're inside the problem, it feels massive. When you zoom out, it becomes nothing. That's the power of perspective. The Stoics had a name for this mental superpower. They called it the view from above. And once you master it, the things that once overwhelmed you, arguments, insults, rejections, shame, will shrink into specks. Dust in the wind. Let's say something upsets you, someone disrespects you, a plan falls apart, your emotions start to swell, the mind zooms in, the problem feels huge, heavy, permanent. But now you pause, you close your eyes, and you mentally step back. First, see yourself from across the room. Then rise higher. Picture yourself from a rooftop. Then imagine you're looking down from a plane. Higher, higher. Now from the clouds, from orbit, from the moon, from the stars. Now look again. There you are, a tiny human on a spinning blue rock, floating in a galaxy of 100 billion stars, in a universe that stretches beyond understanding. The insult you received today, gone. The embarrassing moment at work, silent. The argument that burned your energy, invisible. When you practice the God's eye view, your ego can't survive. The ego needs drama. It needs to be the main character. But from above, you see, you are important, but not in the way your ego thought. You are not the center. You are part of something far greater. And that awareness humbles you, grounds you. It doesn't make your problems disappear, but it puts them in their rightful size. Marcus Aurelius used this tool constantly. As Emperor of Rome, he dealt with betrayal, war, death, and responsibility most of us will never face. But he wrote in his journal, "Look down on the countless gatherings and ceremonies, the journeys in storm and calm, all mere dust, all buried in time." He zoomed out. He reminded himself, no emotion is as big as it pretends to be. Use this drill when your emotions rise, when your pride is wounded, when your anxiety takes over, when you feel stuck, rejected, or overwhelmed. Step back, rise up, mentally float above the noise, and ask, will this matter in a week, in a year, in a lifetime? Often the answer is no. The problem isn't real. It's a trick of closeness. You're standing too near the painting. Back up. See the whole picture. This drill isn't about detaching from life. It's about gaining clarity within it. It's about remembering that while your emotions are valid, they are not final. They are weather, passing clouds in a much bigger sky. So train your mind to fly above the storm. Use the God's eye view whenever life feels too heavy, because from above the chaos turns quiet. The story softens and your peace returns. Remember this, perspective is power, and sometimes all it takes to feel calm again is one good look from the stars. Number 8, transform the trigger into a teacher. What if every time someone triggered you, it wasn't a threat, but a teacher? Think about that. You get offended. You feel rejected. You're hit by jealousy, anger, panic. Normally the reflex is to blame. They made me feel this way. But the Stoic flips that idea on its head. The Stoic doesn't say, they triggered me. The Stoic says, thank you for the lesson. This is where the real growth begins. Every emotional spike is not just a reaction. It's a message, a signal pointing you inward, an alarm going off not because someone else is wrong, but because something inside you needs to be seen. Let's say someone makes a joke at your expense, and it stings. Why? Look deeper. Is there an insecurity hiding beneath the surface? Is there a part of you that hasn't healed? Is there a fear of being disrespected? Good. That trigger just showed you where the wound lives. Or imagine a friend ignores your text and you spiral. Anxiety, doubt, fear, it all comes flooding in. But pause. Ask yourself, why did this silence disturb me so deeply? Maybe it reveals a hidden dependency. Maybe you're still outsourcing your self-worth to their response. In this way, the trigger becomes the teacher. It exposes the lesson. The Stoics believed that life is a classroom, and emotions are your curriculum. Anger teaches where you're holding on too tightly. Jealousy shows where comparison still lives. Fear reveals where you lack preparation or trust. Shame uncovers where ego and identity are still tangled. Each one is a mirror, not to attack you, but to awaken you. Marcus Aurelius didn't complain about what upset him, he examined it. He used every disturbance as a way to train the mind, and that's what you're learning to do now, to turn friction into feedback, to treat every trigger like a spiritual assignment. So the next time emotion hits, don't suppress it. Don't react either. Just pause, sit with it, and ask, what is this here to teach me? What belief did this touch? What fear did this wake up? It's not easy, but it is transformational. Because once you do this enough, people lose their ability to own your mood. Their insults, silence, praise, rejection, it doesn't hijack you anymore. It educates you. It becomes part of your growth. Imagine someone pushes your buttons and you smile, not because you're unaffected, but because you just discovered another area to train. That's not weakness. That's power. That's emotional jujitsu. You're no longer walking through life as a victim of feelings. You're using them. You're mining them for wisdom. So keep a notebook. Title it Emotional Lessons. Every time you feel triggered, write down, what happened? What did I feel? What old story did this activate? What can I learn? Do this consistently, and your emotional pain becomes a map, a guide, a personal coach showing you what still needs healing. Because in the end, no one can teach you more about yourself than the people who push your buttons. And once you master this mindset, your greatest emotional triggers become your greatest opportunities for freedom. Number 9. Commit to uninsultability training. What if someone insulted you today and it didn't touch you? Not because you're numb, not because you're pretending, but because you've trained your mind so well. The words float right past. That's the goal. That's the power. That's what the Stoics called emotional sovereignty, and it begins with something bold, uninsultability training. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid offense. They walk on eggshells. They get defensive. They waste hours replaying comments that stung, trying to figure out what they could have said differently. But the Stoic walks into the fire on purpose, not to fight, not to burn, but to practice being unshakable. Here's how it works. Choose a day, just one, and on that day decide in advance that nothing will offend you. Seriously, nothing. Someone's rude? Let them be. Someone mocks your idea? Nod. Someone throws sarcasm your way? Smile. And in your mind, say this phrase. That's an interesting data point. Why? Because it is. Every insult is just feedback about the speaker, not about you. It's a glimpse into their mind, their emotions, their fears. And if you treat it that way, like data, not damage, you flip the whole game. You turn insult into insight. This is emotional jujitsu. When someone throws emotional force at you, you don't resist it. You redirect it. You absorb it calmly. You stay rooted. You let their aggression hit air. And just like that, their power dissolves. They lose control. You keep peace. Let's be clear. This isn't about being passive or weak. It's not about letting people walk all over you. It's about recognizing that your peace is yours. It can't be stolen without permission, and you're not giving it. Think of it like building calluses, not on your skin, but on your ego. The more you train, the thicker that layer gets, the less you flinch, the more you observe instead of absorb. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He wasn't wrong. Most insults hurt not because they're true, but because we imagine they say something about us. We give them meaning. We turn someone's bad mood into our self-doubt. But not anymore. So pick your day. Call it your uninsultable day. Go about your life with a quiet smile. Welcome the tests. See how often people try to get a reaction, and give them nothing, not smugness, not coldness, just calm. If someone's rude, observe it like a scientist. Anger. If someone's sarcastic, treat it like a cloud. That passed. If someone questions you, nod and say, "Maybe you're right." Because this is your training ground. This is your gym. Every interaction is a weight you're lifting. Every comment is a representative. And by the end of the day, you'll feel something shift. You'll notice that the world has less power over your emotions, not because the world changed, but because you did. So commit to this. Make it a habit. Make it a game. Because when you no longer fear being insulted, you become untouchable, and that is freedom. Number 10. Apply the emotion pre-approval technique. What if you could decide, before anything happens, how you're going to feel? Not hope, not react, but decide. That's the essence of the emotion pre-approval technique, and once you learn it, you stop walking into situations defenseless. You walk in armored, anchored, ready. Most people stumble through their day hoping they'll stay calm, hoping they won't get triggered. But the Stoic doesn't rely on hope. The Stoic relies on preparation. You wouldn't walk into a storm without a coat. So why walk into a tense room without emotional protection? Here's the practice. Before entering a known emotional minefield, a meeting with someone difficult, a family gathering, a crowded event, stop for just 10 seconds and ask yourself, how do I choose to feel in this space? Then answer deliberately, I choose to be calm, or I choose to be detached, or I choose to stay amused and light. Make your emotional state a pre-approved setting, like a thermostat. You set it before the heat rises. Think of it like choosing your posture before walking into a room full of chaos. You are a statue, still, grounded, surrounded by balloons. The noise, the rudeness, the tension. It bounces, it floats around you, but it doesn't stick to you. That's emotional sovereignty. That's self-command. Marcus Aurelius prepared his mind each morning, knowing the world wouldn't be kind. He wrote, "Today you will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest." But he didn't say this with dread. He said it with acceptance. He was not surprised. He was prepared. So ask yourself, what spaces trigger you? Which environments hijack your peace? A tense work meeting. Pre-approve calm, a holiday dinner with drama. Pre-approve detachment, a social event full of fake smiles. Pre-approve light amusement. You're not hoping to stay calm. You're choosing it in advance. And if things go sideways, if emotions still rise, that's okay. Just return to your setting, breathe, reset, stay anchored. This isn't about faking peace. It's about choosing presence. It's not about being aloof. It's about being unmoved. Because the world will always bring noise. People will always bring moods. But you bring discipline. You bring decision. Start small. Before your next conversation or meeting, pause. Close your eyes. Say silently, I pre-approve calm. Or, I walk in with lightness. Or, I bring no hooks and I take no bait. And then walk in, aware, steady, unshaken. This is how Stoics enter the world. Not with armor made of anger, but with armor made of choice. Because when your emotions are pre-chosen, the world loses its grip on your mood. And you walk through chaos like a mountain walks through wind, unbothered, unshakable, already decided. Number 11. Perform a daily ego burial ritual. Every day, the world tries to dress you up in costumes. It hands you a title, manager, parent, genius, failure. It clings to your looks, handsome, average, ugly. It ties you to roles, successful, struggling, important, invisible. And before long you start believing it. You start thinking this is who you are. But the Stoics saw through this trap. They knew that most emotional suffering begins the moment you attach your self-worth to a costume. So they practiced something radical, something most people never even consider. Daily ego death. A simple ritual to strip away all the labels, all the masks, all the stories, until nothing remains but your inner essence. Here's how it works. Each night before sleep, take a quiet moment, light a candle, or simply sit in the dark. No phone, no noise, just stillness. Pick a single spot on the wall or a flame to focus your attention. Then, repeat this phrase slowly, like a whisper to your soul. I am not my pride. I am not my title. I am not my face. I am not my power. Strip it all. I remain. Say it again and again. Let it sink beneath your skin. Because this is more than words. This is medicine for the soul. This is armor against the hooks of the world. The world flatters you. You smile because you know you are not your compliments. The world insults you. You breathe because you know you are not your critics. The world forgets you. You rest because you know you were never the spotlight. You were the light. This ego burial is not about self-hate. It's about self-freedom. It's not about shrinking. It's about shedding. You are not the applause. You are not the shame. You are not the face in the mirror. You are the one behind the eyes. And once you start practicing this ritual daily, you'll feel the shift. You'll feel less reactive, less defensive, less hungry for validation, because without an ego to protect, no one can manipulate you. People compliment you, it doesn't inflate you. People attack you, it doesn't shake you. They can't hook you because you have no leash. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, practiced this humility every morning and night. Despite his power, he reminded himself that he was just a man, a soul with borrowed time. He stripped away the emperor costume every day so it wouldn't own him. That's your mission now. So tonight, start the ritual. Light a candle, or sit with silence, and whisper the truth until it becomes your identity. Strip it all. I remain. Because the one who remains cannot be controlled, not by praise, not by insult, not by ego, only by virtue, only by peace, only by choice. Number 12. Practice the reverse confession technique. What if the next time someone pointed out your flaw, you agreed with them, not with bitterness, not with sarcasm, but with calm, cheerful honesty? That's the essence of the reverse confession technique. It's one of the most disarming emotional tools the Stoics ever used. And once you master it, people will stop knowing how to push your buttons because your buttons will be gone. Here's how it works. Someone says, "You're too quiet." Most people get defensive. "No, I'm not." Or they shrink, feeling insecure. But the Stoic smiles and says, "Totally, I enjoy silence." Then they move on. No drama, no shame, just power. Why does this work? Because shame only survives in darkness. When you try to hide a trait, it grows heavy. But the moment you bring it into the light, cheerfully, openly, it loses all its weight. Let's break this down. When someone accuses you of something, you're awkward. You're too intense. You take things seriously. You're stubborn. They expect a reaction. That's the game. They want to poke and watch you flinch. But when you respond with a calm, "Yes, that's true. I'm working on it," or even better, "Yeah, that's just who I am sometimes," the game ends. There's nothing to fight, no resistance, just ownership. And ownership is power. The Stoics didn't try to be perfect. They tried to be honest. They knew that trying to appear flawless only made them more fragile. But being open about their imperfections, that made them untouchable. Because here's the truth. No one can use against you what you've already accepted about yourself. Think of shame like a secret contract. You hold on to something about yourself that you're hoping no one sees, but the reverse confession rips that contract in half. You take control of the narrative. You say, "Yes, and?" This technique is especially powerful in conversations where someone is trying to dominate or belittle. Maybe it's a coworker throwing shade, a relative making a passive-aggressive comment, a friend testing your reaction. You disarm them by accepting it before they expect you to. They say, "You always take things so seriously." You smile and reply, "I do. I care deeply. It's who I am." Now what? They have no power. You've already hugged the floor. The shame is gone. And don't just wait for someone to accuse you. Practice this with yourself. Start writing down the traits you tend to hide or feel embarrassed about. Then, next to each one, write a sentence of cheerful ownership. I can be intense because I care. I overthink because I value clarity. I'm sensitive because I feel deeply. This rewires your relationship with yourself, because the moment you stop defending a flaw, it stops being a weapon. It becomes part of your strength. So from now on, when someone tries to throw shame your way, don't duck, don't deflect. Catch it, smile, say, "That's true," and walk away lighter. Because when you own who you are, completely and cheerfully, no one can use it against you. And that is the heart of emotional freedom. Number 13, use Stoic emotional decoupling. Something happens, and instantly emotion floods in. A message goes unanswered. A friend makes a strange face. Someone walks past without saying hello. And just like that, you're spinning, angry, anxious, hurt, rejected. But here's the truth. The event didn't create the pain. The emotion did. And this is where the Stoic draws the line. The moment you learn to separate what happened from what you feel about it, you take back control. That's the practice of Stoic emotional decoupling, the skill of splitting the facts from the feelings. Here's what it looks like in real life. Event: they left you on red. Emotion: you feel ignored, unimportant. Two different things, two different origins. The Stoic steps back and says, the message was not replied to. That's a fact. The feeling of rejection, that's my reaction. That part is optional. This may sound subtle, but it changes everything. Most people live in a blur. They blend events and emotions into a single storm. He didn't text me back, so he doesn't care about me. She rolled her eyes, so she disrespects me. They didn't invite me, so I'm not valued. But notice the pattern. They're not describing reality. They're interpreting it through emotion. That's where suffering begins. The Stoic path is different. It trains the mind to pause and say, here's what happened. Here's how I feel. The two are not the same. Let's go deeper. Imagine a friend cancels plans at the last minute. Event: friend cancelled dinner. Emotion: I feel unimportant, disappointed. Now step back and ask, is that emotion caused by the fact or by the story I told myself about the fact? Often, it's the story. They don't value me. They always do this. I can't count on anyone. These thoughts, not the event itself, create the emotional pain. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus taught, it's not the things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. So here's the practice. Every time you feel an emotional spike, grab a pen or just pause mentally and split it in two. Label the event. What happened, objectively? No story, no feelings, just facts. Label the emotion. What did I feel? What thoughts followed? Then ask yourself, could I feel differently about the same event? If the answer is yes, you've just unlocked emotional choice. You're no longer a puppet reacting to life. You're a thinker, a watcher, a sovereign. This is not denial. You're not pretending to feel nothing. You're practicing choice in how much weight you give to your emotions. It's like watching a movie and realizing that's just a scene. It's not my life. You still feel, but you don't drown. Start training today. When something upsets you, say aloud or write down, event equals just the fact. Emotion equals my feeling. This pause creates space. That space gives you freedom. Because once you decouple facts from feelings, no event can hijack your mind. And you become calm, clear, unbothered by the chaos around you, in control of what matters most, how you respond. That's Stoic mastery, and it begins with one simple line between what happened and what you feel about it. Number 14. Create a mental sandbag against manipulation. Manipulation doesn't always come with red flags. Sometimes it's a guilt-tripping sigh. Sometimes it's a backhanded compliment. Sometimes it's flattery that feels just a little too polished. And sometimes it's a subtle nudge designed to push you off center, just enough to get you to react, obey, doubt, or apologize. But the Stoic doesn't get blown over. The Stoic doesn't take the bait. The Stoic prepares. With what? Mental sandbags. You've seen sandbags before, lined up during a storm, heavy and silent. They don't attack the rain. They don't fight the wind. They just sit there, anchored, absorbing force without flinching. That's the energy you need when someone tries to manipulate your emotions. Because emotional manipulation is wind. It wants movement. It feeds on reaction. But when you respond with inner weight, with stillness, with presence, the wind dies. Here's the technique. When someone tries to guilt-trip you, flatter you, or provoke you, pause internally. Don't speak yet. Don't flinch. Just mentally drop a sandbag. Visualize it. Someone says, "Wow, must be nice to not care about anyone but yourself." The guilt is implied. The manipulation is obvious. You don't justify. You don't argue. You don't frown. You drop a sandbag. Wait. Silence. Stillness. They say, "You're the best I've ever worked with. No one's like you." It's praise, but with invisible strings. Don't soar. Don't melt. Don't perform. Drop a sandbag. Thank you, with no attachment. Or someone says something rude, hoping you'll bite back. You drop a sandbag. A simple breath. A calm look. No reaction. This is emotional strength. Quiet strength, not cold, not robotic, but grounded. The Stoics didn't train to be numb, they trained to be immovable, because they understood that most manipulation works through motion, getting you to overreact, over-apologize, over-explain, over-please. But when you build this habit of inner bracing, you absorb the hit, and it goes nowhere. Let's go further. Every morning, visualize yourself lining up these mental sandbags. Each one represents something solid in you. One for your boundaries, one for your self-worth, one for your clarity, one for your patience, one for your ability to pause. They're invisible to others, but not to you. Now, when the storm comes, and it will come, you don't have to run or shout or explain. You brace, you let the wind pass. You stay unmoved. Train this every day. Start small. The next time someone makes a snide comment or showers you with suspicious praise, don't react. Drop the weight of awareness. Breathe, ground, say less. Because you're not here to be manipulated by moods or tactics or games. You're here to remain still when others sway. And once people see that they can't move you with wind, they stop trying. That's what Stoics knew. Storms will always come. But if you're sandbagged from the inside, you never drown. You simply remain. Number 15. Anchor self-value in virtue only. Here's the final armor. Not the loudest, not the flashiest, but the strongest. It's the Stoic principle that ends emotional dependence forever. Tie your self-worth only to your virtue, not to compliments, not to success, not to how others see you, just virtue. Because everything else can be taken from you. Your looks will fade, your job can be lost, your name can be dragged through mud, but your virtue, your honesty, your discipline, your kindness, your patience, that belongs to you. No one can give it. No one can take it. And if your worth is built on that, you become untouchable. Let's break this down. Someone insults you. Don't ask, was it fair? Ask, did I act with virtue? If yes, walk on. Someone praises you. Don't get addicted to the applause. Ask, did I act with virtue? If yes, be grateful, but don't build your identity on it. This is the mindset that Marcus Aurelius trained into his bones. He ruled an empire, but he didn't attach his value to the crown. He attached it to his character. And when people attacked him, he checked one thing. Did I act justly? Did I stay true to my principles? If yes, then what others said, good or bad, became noise. Seneca wrote, "The reward of a good deed is to have done it, not to be seen, not to be thanked, but to know you did what was right." So here's how you apply this every single day. When something shakes you, an insult, a failure, a rejection, pause and ask yourself one question. Did I act with virtue? If the answer is yes, then breathe. You're clean. You're grounded. Their opinion cannot stain you. You're rooted in something eternal. If the answer is no, then good. You've just found an opportunity to grow. You adjust. You learn. But still, you're in control. Not them. Because virtue is internal. It's your compass. It's the one thing no one can manipulate. The moment you anchor your self-value in it, you take back all the power you ever gave away. No more emotional highs from flattery. No more emotional crashes from disapproval. Just peace. Just consistency. Just calm self-respect. Start practicing this now. Each night before bed, reflect on your day, not through the lens of outcome, but virtue. Ask, was I patient? Was I honest? Was I disciplined? Was I kind, even when it was hard? That's your scoreboard. Because in the end, nothing outside you makes you worthy. Not their love, not their praise, not your resume, not your bank account. Only one thing does, how you choose to live when no one is watching. So anchor there, tie yourself to virtue and nothing else, and you'll become what no one can disturb, calm, grounded, free. If you made it this far, you're not just interested in Stoicism, you're ready to live it. You've just walked through 15 rare and powerful practices, not fluffy advice, not shallow tips, but real tools built to give you back control. Control over your reactions, over your triggers, over your peace. Because here's the truth, when you master your emotions, no one else can. Not the critic, not the manipulator, not the praise, not the silence, not the noise of the world. You become your own fortress, calm, focused, immovable. You stop reacting and start choosing. So the next time someone tests your peace, remember what you've learned. Permission slips, echo tests, delays, weather checks, ego burials, virtue anchors. Each one is a brick in the wall of your emotional freedom. Now here's your final challenge. Commit. Right now in the comments write, "My emotions belong to me. I am stoic." Say it, type it, claim it. Not just for today, but as a daily declaration. Because the more you remind yourself, the more your mind will follow. And if the Stoics, an ancient school of philosophy, believed that true strength lies not in conquering external forces, but in mastering our own emotions. In today's world, this wisdom is more relevant than ever. Have you ever felt drained by negativity after interacting with someone? Toxic people can disrupt our mental well-being, leaving us feeling frustrated and powerless. But what if there were practical strategies to navigate these difficult dynamics? We'll go over 13 practical, Stoic-inspired ideas in this video that will give you the ability to handle toxic people with compassion, grace, and even resilience. Join me on a journey to protect your emotional well-being and subscribe to the channel for more tips on developing mental resilience. By the end of this video, you'll be equipped with a toolbox of Stoic wisdom to handle toxic people effectively. So take a deep breath and let's begin. Number 1. Identifying and understanding the toxic threat. Take a moment to picture yourself serving as a guard at the entrance to your very own personal citadel. Your inner tranquility, your physical health, and your emotional safety are all represented by this citadel. Without a doubt, awareness is the first line of defense in the process of protecting this fortress as well. In the same way that a watchful guard has to be able to notice potential dangers, you need to be able to recognize the indicators that a poisonous individual is approaching you. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was a proponent of reason and self-control, tells us in his Enchiridion that it is not what happens to you that upsets you. More importantly, it is your judgment of what happens. It is especially important to keep this piece of advice in mind while dealing with poisonous people. It is not the case that their negative attitudes and manipulative acts have the ability to exert force over you. Your emotional reaction to these activities and how you perceive them are the factors that determine the effect that they have on your sense of inner peace at any given moment. How to cultivate a Stoic gaze, that is, a calm and objective method of viewing the situation, is the key to success. Learning to recognize the characteristics of poisonous conduct is a necessary step in this process. Listed below are some important warning signs. Constant criticism. A toxic individual may find nothing but fault with you, your conduct, or the decisions you make on a consistent basis. Although this criticism may be indirect or overt, it will always leave you feeling deflated and uncertain about your abilities. Toxic people frequently resort to deceptive strategies in order to achieve the goals they have set for themselves. In an effort to exert control over your conduct, they may resort to flattery, guilt trips, or even threats. A toxic person appears to thrive on negativity. Negativity is a toxic person. They are continuously whining and pulling others down with their pessimism so that they can focus on the worst aspects of the problems they are concerned with. Additionally, in addition to these general indications, there are also several types of toxic personalities that you should be aware of. The narcissist is a person who is constantly looking for approval and adoration throughout their life. It is possible that they are charming at first, but in the end, their interactions are one-sided, leaving you feeling emotionally exhausted. This individual lives on social turmoil. According to the gossip, they are known to propagate rumors, stir up trouble, and take pleasure in causing friction between other people. Known as the energy vampire, this individual has the ability to drain your vitality. As the term says, interactions with them leave you feeling cognitively and emotionally drained and fatigued. Emotionally, the development of a mental map of the potential dangers that could befall your inner citadel can be accomplished by first gaining an awareness of the many toxic personalities and the actions that they display. In the same way that a Roman Stoic philosopher like Seneca might devise a plan to combat an adversary on the battlefield, you may make use of your newly acquired awareness to anticipate the strategies employed by potentially harmful individuals and devise a strategy to safeguard your emotional well-being. Number 2. Fortify your walls. Put yourself in the shoes of Marcus Aurelius, the famous Stoic emperor of Rome. In order to rule a wide empire, one needed to possess power, knowledge, and unyielding determination. When it comes to strengthening the walls of your own inner citadel, often known as your emotional well-being, these same attributes are vital. Undoubtedly, the boundaries that you have established are the foundation of this citadel. When dealing with toxic people, boundaries are the obvious lines that you create in the sand to demarcate your boundaries. They determine the kinds of conduct that you will and will not approve of. You should not permit poisonous people to intrude on your emotional territory in the same way that a powerful monarch would not permit his boundaries to be violated. What comes into play here is the Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes the importance of reason and self-control. In order to take the initial step, you must first determine which activities deplete your energy or violate your sense of who you are. Is it the persistent pessimism shared by a friend when a coworker engages in manipulative behavior, the intrusive counsel of a member of the family? Make sure that you are open and honest with yourself about the things that you will not bear. The next step, when you have determined these boundaries, is to communicate them in a clear and concise manner. Tap into your inner Marcus Aurelius and be firm while still being fair. To facilitate effective communication, the following are some strategies. Think about how you are feeling and use I statements. Rather than making accusing words such as, "You are always so negative," you could try saying something like, "I feel drained when you constantly focus on the unpleasant things." Be as specific as possible. Take care not to leave any chance for misunderstanding. Rather than saying something like, "I need some space," you should say something like, "I can't talk right now, but I'd be happy to chat later this week." Keep your word, but be kind at the same time. There is a distinction between being assertive and being aggressive. It is important to convey your point with self-assurance while avoiding animosity. On the other hand, Establishing boundaries is not a one-time experience. When it comes to enforcing your boundaries, you need to be hard and consistent, just like a Stoic ruler who is always on guard against barbarian invasions. A wall that is unstable is simple to dismantle. In the event that a toxic individual disregards your limits, you should remind them in a calm manner of the line that has been established. It may even be necessary for you to restrict your interaction with the person or completely withdraw from the situation. Keep in mind that establishing limits is not about punishing someone, rather, it is about protecting yourself. Envy, a vice that frequently serves as a source of poisonous talk, was vigorously avoided by the Stoics. Through the establishment of boundaries, you are not engaging in selfish behavior. Rather, you are merely safeguarding your emotional well-being and establishing the space that is necessary for you to build inner peace within the context of your Stoic path toward a life of peace. A strong citadel that is characterized by boundaries that are clearly defined and well defended is an essential component. Number 3. Become uninteresting to the emotional barbarian. Become uninteresting to the emotional barbarian. Take into consideration a ferocious emotional barbarian who is driven by pessimism and is looking for a dramatic conflict. There are certain poisonous persons who act in this manner. They rely on attention, on your emotional response, and their negativity thrives on that. In the hopes of eliciting a response, a glimmer of fury or hurt that will fuel their fire, they constantly poke and poke with insults. The Stoic ideals of emotional regulation and indifference to external stimuli served as the inspiration for the grey rock method, which comes into its own as a strong instrument in this context. Paul Fredman, a therapist, created a technique known as the grey rock method. It is a strategy that involves being emotionally less receptive. It is not about fully shutting down. Rather, it is about providing the emotional equivalent of a smooth grey rock, a surface that is neutral and unyielding and which does not provide any handholds for the negative to cling to. In order to further dissect this approach, let us draw upon the sage advice of Seneca, a great Roman Stoic philosopher. Seneca tells us that true happiness resides in enjoying the present without anxious dependence upon the future. This is a reminder that we should starve ourselves of the need for attention. People who are toxic most of the time seek attention, whether it be positive or negative. With the grey rock method, you are preventing them from experiencing the emotional response that they are looking for. In the midst of the storm that they are attempting to generate, you become uninteresting, and just like a dull rock, responses that are neutral serve as your armor. The grey rock method entails reacting to negative statements with statements that are neutral and true on purpose. It is important to refrain from becoming involved in emotional disputes or justifications. If you have a friend that is toxic and they insult your work, you can deflect their assault by saying, "That's interesting," without giving them any more fuel to feed their negativity. Toxic people frequently attempt to control your emotions. Thus, it is important to avoid getting sucked into the emotional vortex. They could resort to sarcasm, guilt trips, or even plain hostility in their behavior. In this situation, the most important thing is to disengage from their emotional vortex. Maintain your composure and respond in a factual manner, refusing to become involved in their drama. It is important to keep in mind that Seneca teaches that the path to genuine happiness is to not amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears. You should not give them the emotional power that they are seeking. The grey rock method is a potent instrument, but it is not a substitute for a miracle cure. It's possible that some toxic personalities will initially escalate their conduct, putting your emotional rock to the test. Keep your cool, be consistent, and keep in mind that you are not to blame for the negativity that they are displaying. You can turn yourself from a passive victim of their emotional theatrics into an unmoved spectator by applying this method that is influenced by Stoicism. This will defend your inner calm and emotional well-being. Number 4. The broken record. The broken record technique. Imagine being subjected to a never-ending onslaught of manipulation. A toxic individual chipping away at your boundaries through deceptive arguments and emotional ploys. Being subjected to such a persistent onslaught can be both emotionally tiring and unpleasant. Don't be afraid, however. The Stoic principles of unshakable reason and perseverance serve as the inspiration for the broken record technique, which emerges as a potent defense when used. The broken record technique is a strategy that was developed to combat deceptive tactics. It entails patiently repeating a clear declaration about your position, similar to how a broken record skips on the same unshakable message. This method, which appears to be quite straightforward, has the potential to be remarkably powerful in repelling attempts to derail you and maintaining a firm focus on your requirements. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. Therefore, let us explore deeper into this technique by drawing upon his wisdom. The phrase, "freedom is the only good," describes the power of perseverance. This freedom encompasses the ability to determine your own boundaries, as well as the liberty to say no without providing an explanation. This essential principle is exemplified by the broken record technique. You are able to display your steadfast resolution and prevent the manipulator from pulling you off course by reiterating your viewpoint in a calm and relentless manner, defending against emotional attacks for the purpose of gaining the upper hand. Manipulators frequently deploy emotional strategies. They could try to manipulate you by using flattery, guilt trips, or even fury in an effort to get you to do what they want. You are able to avoid these emotional assaults with the assistance of the broken record technique. You are able to deflect their attempts to manipulate your emotions and keep the argument based in reason by concentrating on the factual statement of your stance. The consistent repetition of your position can be very disconcerting to a manipulator. This is because repetition is considered to be a form of defense. The flow of their conversation is disrupted, they are thrown off balance, and the hollowness of their arguments is brought to light. Imagine a wave crashing on a rock that is very strong. The rock does not move at all, while the wave ultimately disappears. Contrary to popular belief, the broken record technique does not involve confrontation. Maintaining a firm focus on your stance while enforcing your boundaries in a calm manner is something that is important. Keep in mind that Stoicism places a strong emphasis on reason and logic as the guiding principles for managing the problems that life presents. Through the utilization of this method, you give yourself the ability to resist exploitation and safeguard your inner peace with unyielding determination. Number 5. Don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. Imagine a skilled angler who is casting a line that is baited with negative thoughts in the hopes of catching you in a whirlpool of all kinds of emotional drama. They dangle provocations, insults, or guilt trips in the hopes of eliciting a reaction that will fuel their drama and feed their negativity. This is the strategy that many toxic people do. However, the Stoic philosophy provides a great defense, which is indifference. This is not the same thing as apathy. Rather, it refers to the state of being emotionally detached from something. The Stoics, particularly philosophers such as Epictetus, made a distinction between apathy and indifference. In their opinion, apathy was a state that characterized a lack of concern and a state of listlessness. The concept of indifference, on the other hand, refers to a disconnection from the unpleasant feelings and judgments that distort our own reason. When it comes to dealing with toxic people, this distinction is really important. The following is an explanation of how Stoic indifference can assist you in avoiding going for the drama bait. Be aware of the strategy. The first stage is to be aware of the strategy. Become familiar with the telltale signals that a toxic individual is attempting to lure you in. What exactly is it? Is it a sarcastic remark, a veiled insult, or a guilt trip that is camouflaged as a proposal? By the time you have identified the strategy, you have to a certain extent rendered it ineffective. The bait is intended to elicit a response such as wrath, annoyance, or defensiveness, and it is important to detach yourself from the emotional hook. Stoic indifference, on the other hand, is a choice that allows you to avoid becoming emotionally tied to the negative aspects of the situation. Consider the scenario in which you are unable to take the bait that is hanging in the water. You examine it with cool composure, unaffected by the power it possesses to anger you. Let the drama dissolve. When you don't respond to their negative comments, the power that they have over you is diminished due to a shortage of fuel. The drama that they are attempting to build is unable to last in the absence of a response. Their scathing remarks remain suspended in the air, eventually losing their power. It is not necessary to transform into a heartless and uncaring machine. The practice of Stoicism promotes the expression of good emotions. On the other hand, it places an emphasis on detaching from negative emotions that you are unable to control and channeling your feelings toward things that you can control. You can turn yourself from a passive player in their drama into a peaceful observer by practicing Stoic indifference. This allows you to demonstrate that you are not willing to become involved in their emotional web. It is your own inner serenity that continues to exist, a refuge that is unaffected by the storms that others attempt to generate. Number 6. The art of the non-reaction. The art of the non-reaction. Imagine somebody who is a verbal gladiator, someone who is a master of insults and barbs and who thrives on the heated back and forth of an argument. There are some poisonous folks who call this domain their home. They use words as weapons with the intention of inciting anger, humiliating you, and ultimately luring you into their emotional sphere. Presented here is a Stoic strategy that is not only effective but also frequently underappreciated: the art of the non-reaction. When deployed in a planned manner, silence has the potential to be an effective weapon against the lethal verbal assault by causing a disruption in the dynamic that they want. It disarms them. Astonishingly, quiet, on the other hand, is not something that comes effortlessly to everyone. The desire to answer, to defend ourselves, or to win the argument is something that we are frequently conditioned to feel for ourselves. Stoicism, on the other hand, teaches us the significance of mastering our reactions, and a stillness maintained at the appropriate moment indicates true control. In order to have a clearer understanding of the strength of the non-reaction, let us consider the writings of Marcus Aurelius, the well-known Roman Stoic emperor. Putting a stop to the toxic dance. People who are toxic frequently rely on a pattern that is predictable. Their tone is pessimistic, and they anticipate a response from you. When you show anger, annoyance, or defensiveness toward them, you are adding fuel to their fire and maintaining the toxic dance. Having no reaction causes this pattern to be disrupted. You are denying them the emotional response that they are looking for by choosing silence. Just for a moment, picture a tennis player swinging their racket toward a court that is completely empty. Their tremendous serve falls with a thud, and everything that follows is complete silence. In this perspective, silence is not empty. It is a form of communication that conveys meaning without words. This demonstrates that you have a high level of self-control and that you are unwilling to partake in their negative behavior. The message that it sends is one of strength and non-attachment to the emotional manipulation that they are engaging in. It is important to remember that Marcus Aurelius advised us to waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Become one. The attributes of a good Stoic are exemplified by your quiet. You are calm, reasonable, and unmoved by the provocations that come from the outside world. Prepare yourself for the escalation. When using the non-reaction, it is essential to apply a planned approach wherever possible. In the beginning, a toxic person may increase their efforts by hurling further verbal insults in an effort to elicit a response from the other person. Keep your composure and remain unmoved in your quiet. It is important to keep in mind that quiet is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it is a powerful instrument that is utilized by those who are truly strong. The non-reaction is not a solution that can be applied in every situation, but it is an important weapon in your Stoic armory. It has the potential to disarm poisonous people, defend your inner peace, and demonstrate that you have power over your own emotions when it is utilized strategically. When you choose quiet, you are making a powerful message in and of itself because you are choosing not to play their game. Number 7. Limit your exposure. Limit your exposure. Imagine that you are inside your walled citadel, where your mental health is being painstakingly preserved by strict boundaries. During the entire process, however, even the most sturdy walls are not able to totally protect you from dangers that come from the outside. Contaminated individuals, just like persistent intruders, may nevertheless make an effort to penetrate your safeguards. The Stoic idea of controlling what you can control comes into play at this point in the discussion for you. Although you are unable to control the actions of toxic people, you are able to manage the amount of time you spend with them. One of the first lines of defense in this method is to reduce the amount of time you spend interacting with people who are toxic when it is possible. Establish physical distance. Would you be able to completely avoid them? It is possible for you to reschedule a lunch engagement or to respectfully remove yourself from something that is being discussed. Keep in mind that this is not about being impolite, rather, it is about protecting oneself. In the same way that a Stoic leader would not send his forces into a conflict that was not essential, you should not subject yourself to negativity that is simply not necessary. Nevertheless, it is not always feasible to avoid something completely. On occasion, toxic people may be people who work with you, members of your family, or even close friends and acquaintances. In these kinds of circumstances, establishing emotional distance becomes absolutely necessary. This can be accomplished by the following strategies. Epictetus, a notable Stoic philosopher, tells us that happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one another. This is a quote by Epictetus, which highlights the importance of mental detachment. Nevertheless, this does not imply that there is emotional involvement. You are able to comprehend the pessimism of another individual without allowing it to color your attitude. Exercise mental detachment by observing their conduct in an impartial manner, without allowing yourself to become emotionally invested in it. Cognitive reframing. Persons that are toxic to you will frequently attempt to control your feelings by using negativity. Cognitive reframing, a method that is greatly influenced by Stoic concepts, can be of great assistance in this situation. Transform their pessimism into an objective observation by reframing it. In the event that a coworker is continually complaining, for instance, you may reframe the situation as they appear to be having a difficult day, rather than allowing their negativity to bring you down. Toxic people thrive on negativity. Thus, it is important to focus on the positive. Try not to give them the ability to take away your happiness. Make a concerted effort to concentrate on the positive aspects of your life, such as the personal interests you enjoy, the significant work you do, and the supporting friends you have. Allow yourself to be emotionally protected by these beneficial factors, a safe haven from the negative that they bring. There is no such thing as cowardice when it comes to limiting your exposure, both physically and emotionally. Protecting your inner peace and practicing self-care are both important. Stoics have a strong belief in the importance of leading a moral life and acting rationally. When you reduce the amount of time you spend interacting with negative people and situations, you make room for yourself to nurture a good and flourishing inner life. Imagine that your fortress is encircled by a large moat, which, in addition to being a physical barrier, also serves as an emotional barrier, protecting your peace from the advancing negativity of poisonous people. Number 8. Build your support system. Build your support system. Just for a moment, picture yourself serving as a guard at the entrance to your inner castle. Your walls have been strengthened with boundaries. You have perfected the art of non-reaction, and you have reduced the number of toxic people you are present with. However, in order to fully defend your position, even the most courageous warrior requires a powerful flank, which is a formation of trustworthy allies. Your support system is your Stoic phalanx, which is an essential component in ensuring that you maintain your inner serenity when you are engaged in the fight against negativity. The Stoics, especially notably philosophers such as Seneca, placed a strong emphasis on the significance of living a life that is in harmony with nature. These guiding principles are exemplified by a network of virtuous individuals who are supportive of you, who inspire you, and who share your fundamental beliefs. In difficult times, you may turn to them for support and guidance. They are the people who will listen to you, offer wise counsel, and offer unwavering encouragement. One way in which a robust support system might serve as a buffer against the negative influence of toxic individuals is as follows. In the process of dealing with toxic people, it can be emotionally draining to have a safe space for sharing. It is possible to create a secure environment in which to analyze your experiences and express your frustrations when you have trusted friends or family members to whom you can confide. Their comprehension and compassion can serve as a vital support system, serving as a reminder that you are not fighting this struggle alone. Toxic people frequently take away from your sense of self-worth, but they may also be a source of encouragement. An effective support system serves as a counterforce, providing you with encouragement and reminding you of your abilities and the value you bring to the world. Their faith in you has the power to strengthen your determination and rekindle the fire that burns inside you, particularly in situations where negativity threatens to extinguish it. Setting an example of virtue and positivity, the Stoics held the belief that it is important to surround oneself with persons who exemplify the characteristics that one wishes to cultivate. A network of virtuous individuals who are supportive of one another might serve as a positive role model. It is possible to learn and develop by seeing the strength, resilience, and optimistic outlook that they possess. This will help you increase your own capacity to gracefully manage negative situations. The process of constructing a solid network of support is one that never ends. In order to accomplish this, you will need to cultivate relationships that already exist and look for people who match your beliefs in order to cultivate this beautiful phalanx. Here are some ways to do so. Invest in quality time. Set aside time to have meaningful interactions with the people who are responsible for your support. You may build a sense of connection by sharing your experiences, listening to theirs, and sharing your own. Joining clubs, volunteer organizations, or online communities that are congruent with your interests and values is a great way to bring together people who share your values and interests. This place is filled with people who share your values and who can serve as a natural source of support and encouragement. It is important to remember that the power of showing gratitude to those who are supporting you can never be underestimated. Please express your gratitude to them for the great influence they have on your well-being, as well as for their presence in your life and their unflinching support. Through the cultivation of a robust Stoic phalanx, you may establish a formidable shield that protects you from the negativity that is caused by poisonous people. Strength, perspective, and a revitalized sense of optimism are all things that you acquire when you are surrounded by positive influences. Always keep in mind that even the most well-guarded fortress might benefit from a robust defense from the outside. Your support system, which consists of your trusty companions, transforms into your unyielding phalanx, guaranteeing that your inner serenity continues to possess a secure and protected sanctuary. Number 9. Prioritize self-care. Prioritize self-care. Making contact with toxic individuals is analogous to being confronted with an unrelenting assault in combat. The emotional energy that you have is depleted, and you may end up feeling exhausted as a result. When it comes to protecting yourself against negativity, self-care becomes an essential component. Much as a Stoic warrior would make it a priority to tend to their wounds and sharpen their blade after a battle, your Stoic style of living should include self-care as a fundamental component. Include it in your daily routine and think of it as an investment in your mental well-being. Make it a priority alongside other vital chores and schedule it into your schedule. Your emotional reserves can be replenished, and your resistance to negativity can be strengthened through the following approaches of self-care. Participate in activities that bring you joy. Determine the activities that bring you actual delight and can help you relax. Exercises that are physical in nature, such as running or yoga, as well as artistic activities such as painting or writing, could fall under this category. You are able to de-stress, recharge your emotional batteries, and return to the world with newfound energy and perspective when you participate in these activities and immerse yourself in them. The Stoics engaged in awareness practices that were analogous to meditation. These practices were also known as meditation. Through the practice of meditation, you are able to calm your mind, disengage from negative thoughts, and create inner peace. When you make meditation a regular part of your self-care regimen, you give yourself a great tool to manage stress and negativity, whether it comes from yourself or from other people who are poisonous to you. Seek solace in nature. The Stoics placed a strong emphasis on living in agreement with the natural world. The act of spending time in natural settings, whether it be a walk in a park or a hike through the woods, has a significant influence on our overall health and happiness. If you want to alleviate stress, enhance your mood, and gain a sense of perspective that can help you fight the negativity that you experience from toxic people, then you should try to immerse yourself in the natural world as a type of preventative maintenance for your emotional well-being. You might think of self-care as practicing self-care. A person who is well-rested and centered is in a far better position to deal with negative emotions. In the same way that a Stoic warrior would make sure their armor was sturdy and their sword was sharp, you may nurture your emotional resilience by engaging in self-care techniques. Listen to the signals your body sends you. Continuous communication is taking place between you and your body. Observe the symptoms of exhaustion, tension, or emotional depletion, and pay attention to them. To make self-care a priority, you shouldn't wait until you are utterly exhausted before doing so. Incorporate healthy eating, make sure you get enough sleep, and take breaks throughout the day. The basis for your emotional resilience is laid by these routines, which may appear to be straightforward. In the same way that you established boundaries with people who are poisonous to you, you should also establish boundaries around the time you spend on self-care. Denying requests that might interfere with your time to relax, or setting aside certain times throughout the day to engage in activities that promote self-care, are examples of ways to accomplish this. Always keep in mind that putting your own well-being first is not an act of selfishness. Rather, it is necessary for preserving your emotional resilience. You can become a more powerful and well-balanced individual by implementing self-care into your Stoic way of life. A Stoic warrior would be prepared to meet any adversary, and you approach obstacles with a better perspective and emotional fortitude, much like a Stoic warrior would. It is important to keep in mind that having a full emotional battery enables you to more effectively deflect negativity and radiate positivity, so establishing a formidable shield against the toxic people in your circle of existence. Number 10. Remember, it's not about you. Remember, it's not about you. Picture yourself with a dark cloud looming over you, spewing out negativity and obscuring your view of the outside world. When you're working with toxic people, you will frequently encounter situations like this. They create a poisonous environment by projecting their own worries, insecurities, and issues onto those around them, which results in people being affected negatively. The concept of prohairesis, which is rooted in Stoic philosophy, serves as a formidable defense mechanism in this context. We are encouraged to view ourselves as intelligent observers who are standing outside of the emotional tornado. Through the use of the phrase prohairesis, which is utilized by Stoic philosophers, we become impartial analyzers of the issue, separating ourselves from the negative aspects of the scenario and concentrating on the rational aspects. When interacting with toxic people, it is essential to maintain this level of detachment because the insults and negativity they express are rarely directed at the individual. Rather, they are reflections of the individual's own inner issues. You can navigate the toxicity of toxic people by utilizing Stoic detachment in the following ways. In order to divert attention away from their own inadequacies, toxic people frequently resort to blaming others, criticizing others, and being negative. You are able to discern this projection for what it is by applying the prohairesis. Distancing yourself from the emotional undercurrent will allow you to observe their conduct in an impartial manner, much like a scientist would while investigating a phenomenon. You are able to comprehend that their negativity is a product of their own internal landscape and not a reflection of you or your worth. When you have the ability to detach yourself from the situation for a moment, their behavior is not a reflection of your character. Rather, it is a symptom of themselves and the problems they are experiencing. Take, for example, the dark cloud. Although it may throw a shadow, it has nothing to do with the ground that it momentarily obscures. The sky above still has the sun blazing brightly. Epictetus, a major Stoic philosopher, tells us that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. This highlights the need of focusing on your Stoic path. The length of our lives is sufficient, and a considerable quantity has been bestowed upon us for the most important reasons, provided that we are able to make the most of it correctly. If you want to avoid wasting your valuable time and energy, you should avoid getting involved with the negative energy of toxic people. Maintain your emotional distance, make it a priority to look after your own health, and keep moving forward on the Stoic path that will lead you to a life filled with virtue and calm. It is not the same thing as apathy to be detached. While it is possible to show compassion for their troubles, it is not necessary for you to become a victim of the emotional storms that they are experiencing. You can protect your inner calm and emotional well-being by practicing Stoic detachment, which requires you to change yourself from a passive target into a centered observer. It is important to keep in mind that the sun is still shining brilliantly above the mountains of clouds. Number 11. Don't try to fix them. Don't try to fix them. The desire to mend, to heal, and to engage in the role of a therapist can be powerful, particularly when you are confronted with a person you care about who engages in behaviors that are harmful to others. On the other hand, in the sphere of Stoicism, this road frequently results in frustration and a depletion of one's own emotional reserves. When it comes to cultivating transformation, toxic individuals, like plants that are suffocated by weeds, require their own willpower and work. This transition cannot be compelled by any means, for the following reasons. Stoicism places a greater emphasis on concentrating on what you are able to control, which is your own reactions and interactions, rather than making an effort to change a toxic person. The onus of accountability for the actions of a toxic person is entirely on the individual himself or herself. It is necessary for them to make the deliberate decision to address their negative emotions and look for a way to achieve virtue. Trying to take on this responsibility for them will only result in an unhealthy dynamic and will hinder them from taking responsibility for the problems they are experiencing. One of the fundamental principles of Stoicism is the acceptance of things that are beyond one's ability to control. This includes things like the actions of other people, the circumstances of the outer world, and the ever-changing conditions of existence. The negativity that is exhibited by a poisonous person is a perfect example of this category. Because you have come to terms with this fact, you have liberated yourself from the fruitless effort to alter them. Imagine that your inner tranquility is a blooming garden. This is the focus of your Stoic garden. The toxic people in your life, with their negative attitude, are like weeds that threaten to suffocate the growth that you have painstakingly cultivated. You are wasting your time and effort by attempting to uproot them in the garden of another person. Put your attention on things that are important to you, such as establishing positive connections, tending to your virtues, and engaging in self-care practices. The Stoic philosophy, on the other hand, places a high importance on assisting others in achieving virtue. If you feel compelled, there are ways to encourage a toxic person to engage in self-reflection. However, it is important to keep in mind that you have limitations. Instead of trying to dictate the path that they should take to change, you should offer materials that could potentially stimulate their own introspection. Then, you would try to solve their problem. A book on good communication, a recommendation for a therapist, or even just a kind suggestion to evaluate the consequences of their actions could be included in this, depending on the circumstances. You can have the most significant influence on others by demonstrating Stoic principles in your own life. This is the most effective way to lead by example. You have the ability to act as a vibrant beacon, a monument to the transformational power of Stoic ideas. Through your calm attitude, measured responses, and unwavering emphasis on virtue, sometimes despite your best attempts, a toxic person will continue to be entrenched in their negativity. It is important to know when to get away from them. In circumstances like these, Stoicism recommends establishing boundaries and, if necessary, withdrawing from the situation in order to safeguard one's own well-being. Keep in mind that you are unable to influence their trip, but you have the ability to pick your own path. Through the process of internalizing these ideas, you will convert yourself from a frustrated fixer into a Stoic facilitator. You are able to provide assistance without jeopardizing your own health, and you are able to develop a garden that may flourish in spite of the weeds that may be growing in other areas. Number 12. When to walk away. When to walk away. Imagine if you are looking for safety amid the tranquility of your Stoic castle of refuge. You have developed your emotional detachment, and you have planted a healthy inner garden. You have also strengthened your walls by establishing limits. Nevertheless, in spite of your best efforts, the negativity that comes from a toxic individual continues to remain, posing a threat to your defenses. The ability to recognize when it is appropriate to withdraw from a situation is a fundamental Stoic precept. Making the decision to leave a toxic relationship, particularly one that involves close family members or co-workers, can be a decision that is extremely difficult to make. Prioritizing your mental health, on the other hand, is of the utmost importance. Stoics have a strong belief in the importance of leading a moral life and acting rationally. In direct opposition to these ideals is the practice of maintaining a relationship that undermines your sense of inner calm. This is why the Stoic philosophy is consistent with the practice of removing oneself from a harmful situation. Keeping your Stoic sanctuary safe, your inner serenity is your sacred sanctuary, a place of refuge that you develop through self-care, mindfulness, and Stoic practices. And someone that is poisonous with their unrelenting negativity is comparable to a persistent siege that is being laid on your fortress. It is possible to safeguard your emotional well-being and secure your sanctuary by removing yourself from the situation. Put your attention on what really matters. Seneca, a great Stoic philosopher, reminds us that life is a precious commodity by saying, "The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." Continuing to be in a relationship that is unhealthy is a waste of this valuable time and energy. You give yourself the opportunity to invest in positive connections, meaningful pursuits, and experiences that nourish your spirit and contribute to a flourishing existence. When you move away from whatever is holding you back, accepting that which is out of our control is a key component of Stoicism, and other people's behaviors are a fantastic example of this. Moreover, Stoicism promotes detachment during this period. A decision to walk away from something does not indicate weakness or defeat. Rather, it indicates acceptance of a circumstance that you are unable to change and a deliberate choice to detach from negative emotions. You are not giving up on the individual. Rather, you are giving up on the poisonous dynamic that is detrimental to your body and mind. Moving on from a situation is not a choice that should be made flippantly. Take into consideration the following factors. Have you tried every other possible course of action? Do you have any experience with communication, establishing limits, or providing resources? Is there a recurring pattern of negativity, or is it a specific instance? Do you feel that the connection has a significant impact on your well-being? It's not necessary for there to be a dramatic scene as you walk away. The gradual withdrawal of contact, politely declining invites, or simply limiting communication are all techniques that have the potential to be beneficial. Keep in mind that removing yourself from a situation is a Stoic act of protecting your inner calm and a type of self-care. You can live a life that is led by reason, virtue, and peace if you make your well-being a priority. This will allow you to create room for positive relationships and experiences to develop. Number 13. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Consider the following scenario. You are about to embark on a lengthy journey, and you are carrying a hefty bag that is full of hatred and fury toward a poisonous individual. The weight of this responsibility slows you down, preventing you from making progress and draining your energy. Within the Stoic framework, forgiveness is defined as the process of releasing one's emotional baggage, not for the sake of the other person, but for one's own sake. The Stoics placed a strong emphasis on the significance of accepting things that are beyond our ability to control, with the actions of other people serving as a notable example. The act of harboring hate and resentment toward a person who creates a toxic environment falls clearly inside this category. Remaining steadfast in these unfavorable feelings will only cause you harm, contaminating your present and casting doubt on your future. Stoic principles equip you with the ability to forgive yourself and free yourself from the load of negativity in the following ways. Concentrate on your inner landscape. The Stoics held the belief that the actual source of power is the ability to govern one's own ideas and actions rather than the acts of others or the events that occur in the outside world. In order to recover control of your inner landscape and make room for serenity and emotional well-being, you must first forgive yourself and then let go of any animosity you may continue to harbor. Forgiveness, in the Stoic understanding, does not involve condoning the behavior of the poisonous person. Rather, it is about accepting the behavior of the toxic person, acknowledging what has occurred, coming to terms with the fact that it is beyond your control, and making the decision to move forward with a lighter heart. These are all important steps. The famous Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius tells us that you have power over your mind. You do not have power over events that occur outside of yourself. Make this a reality, and you will discover your strength. Your ability to forgive gives you the ability to reclaim this power. Finding a way to break the cycle of negativity. Resentment is a prison that one has created for oneself. If you continue to hold on to it, you are allowing the toxic person to continue to have a detrimental impact on your life, even though they are no longer there. A break in this cycle can be achieved by forgiving yourself, which will release you from the emotional shackles of the past. The process of forgiving oneself does not take place overnight. In order to foster forgiveness, here are some ways to do so. Recognize your feelings. The first thing you need to do is recognize the feelings of anger, hurt, or resentment that you are experiencing. When these feelings are repressed, it just serves to slow down the healing process. Practicing self-compassion entails treating oneself with the same empathy and consideration that you would provide to a friend experiencing a similar situation. Not only are you a victim of their negativity, but you are also a victim of their behavior. Make an effort to evaluate the event in an objective manner. Was the toxic individual acting maliciously, or were there other things at play that contributed to the situation? Transforming your point of view can help cultivate empathy and understanding, which in turn can pave the road for forgiveness. A gift is something that you offer to yourself, and forgiveness is a gift. You may make room for emotional healing, progress, and a life that is more rewarding by letting go of the burden of negativity. Imagine that you are going on your journey, your backpack lighter and your heart lighter, and that you are prepared to accept the adventures that are still to come with a renewed sense of strength and tranquility. You have the ability to convert yourself from a passive victim of toxic people into a resilient warrior of your inner peace by applying these 13 methods that are inspired by Stoic philosophical thought. Keep in mind that a life that is devoid of negativity is a life that is worth fighting for. It's easy for many men to fall into the trap of constantly chasing women. What begins as the pursuit of romance can quickly evolve into an exhausting and at times even desperate endeavor. But what if there's a more balanced and fulfilling way to approach relationships? What if happiness and peace could be found without tirelessly pursuing someone's affection? This search for clarity and emotional maturity brings us to the enduring wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that can teach us how to remain composed, gain insight, and build relationships rooted in respect and stability. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy originating in Greece, offers a thoughtful approach to life grounded in reason, virtue, and self-mastery. Its teachings have endured through centuries because they speak to the human experience in profound ways, including the realm of relationships. In this discussion, we will reflect on the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, one of the most celebrated Stoic philosophers, and discover how his wisdom can shift your perspective on women, love, and what it means to pursue a meaningful life. To understand why constantly chasing women might not be the wisest approach, we must first examine the psychological forces behind this behavior. Many men are driven to pursue women due to cultural conditioning, evolutionary impulses, or personal feelings of inadequacy. Society often praises the image of the tireless suitor, the relentless man who stops at nothing to win the heart of the one he desires. This romantic ideal can pressure men into feeling as though they must always prove their worth through grand gestures, persistent pursuit, or even manipulation. Yet, Stoicism invites us to pause, reflect, and consider the deeper consequences of such actions. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and devoted Stoic, offered numerous insights on the nature of desire and the human tendency to chase what lies beyond our control. In his Meditations he writes, "Despise not death, but welcome it, for nature wills it like all else." Applied to the context of romantic pursuit, this teaching serves as a reminder to accept the natural flow of life, rather than trying to force outcomes. When we pursue others from a place of desperation, we often encounter emotional fatigue, strained interactions, and a growing sense of dissatisfaction. Within the Stoic framework, the ultimate goal isn't the acquisition of external things, such as romantic partners, but rather the development of inner fortitude and peace. By focusing on what lies within our control, we are able to find contentment and joy that isn't dependent on external validation. Stoicism encourages us to turn inward, to stop trying to change others or manipulate circumstances, and instead work on transforming ourselves. Marcus Aurelius, a paragon of Stoic discipline, provides invaluable guidance for this inward journey. He famously wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." When applied to relationships, this insight challenges us to embody the virtues we admire rather than seeking to shape someone else into our ideal. Instead of exhausting yourself chasing after women, commit to becoming a man of character, someone who lives with purpose, strength, and integrity. Virtue holds a central place in Stoic thought, and this extends naturally to our relationships. A life of virtue means living in harmony with reason and moral principles. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This wisdom is especially poignant when it comes to love and connection. Rather than directing all your energy outward, trying to capture someone's affection, channel it inward to cultivate wisdom, justice, courage, and self-discipline. These virtues not only elevate your personal growth, but naturally make you more appealing to others. You don't need to chase people when you become someone worth gravitating toward. Central to Stoicism is the practice of self-control. Managing one's emotions and desires is essential to living a composed and grounded life. It is crucial not to pursue relationships from a place of emotional impulsivity, insecurity, or the craving for instant gratification. Marcus Aurelius offers this powerful truth. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When applied to relationships, this means understanding that while you can't dictate how others feel or behave, you can always choose your response. Practicing self-control allows you to remain steady and emotionally balanced, qualities that are fundamental to any healthy partnership. Oftentimes, chasing after women disregards their autonomy and individuality, focusing instead on one's own desires. Stoicism, in contrast, teaches us to honor the independence and unique will of others. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius reflects, "Everything is right for me, which is right for you, O universe. Nothing for me is too early or too late, which comes in due time for you." This recognition that we are part of a greater cosmic order reminds us to align our desires with the natural rhythm of life. Rather than imposing your expectations on someone, respect their choices and boundaries. Another key virtue of Stoic practice is patience. In matters of love and attraction, the urge for instant results often leads to rash decisions and emotional turbulence. Stoicism advocates for patience and trust in the unfolding of life's timing. Some things are simply worth waiting for, and developing the ability to wait with grace is a sign of maturity and inner peace. As Marcus Aurelius teaches, time is a force that reveals what is meant to be, and our task is to stay grounded and virtuous while it does. Ultimately, the teachings of Stoicism offer a path away from desperation and towards self-mastery. You are not meant to exhaust yourself chasing after fleeting attention. You are meant to grow, to evolve, and to become someone whose life naturally attracts meaningful connections. By embracing reason, cultivating virtue, practicing self-control, and respecting the flow of life, you can build relationships that are based on mutual respect, not relentless pursuit. Marcus Aurelius once offered timeless wisdom. The key to a fulfilling life lies in surrounding yourself with those who uplift you, individuals whose very presence inspires you to rise to your highest potential. Instead of impulsively chasing romantic pursuits, it is wiser to be patient and allow time to reveal whether there is genuine compatibility and emotional connection. Rejection is an inevitable and often painful part of dating and relationships. Many men experience rejection as a direct attack on their self-worth. reacting with anger, sadness, or frustration. However, Stoicism provides a different lens through which to view this experience. Marcus Aurelius taught, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." This principle encourages a transformation in mindset. Rather than interpreting rejection as a personal failure or an assault on your value, consider it a vital opportunity for growth and self-understanding. Rejection does not determine your intrinsic worth. It is simply a natural rhythm in the larger symphony of life's experiences. A core tenet of Stoicism is the value of perspective, maintaining rationality and emotional balance in the face of both success and adversity. In relationships, this means not tying your happiness to the success or failure of romantic pursuits. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This outlook invites you to see life itself as a gift, encouraging you to find contentment in the present moment and the relationships you already have, rather than seeking fulfillment through relentless pursuit of others. True and lasting connections are built not through pursuit, but through authenticity and mutual respect. Stoicism urges us to focus on meaningful interactions. Rather than chasing romantic interests, devote yourself to forming genuine, deep relationships. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Within the context of relationships, this means showing up as your most authentic self. When you strive to live virtuously and sincerely, you naturally attract those who value and appreciate you for who you truly are. Stoic philosophy places great emphasis on the power of inner contentment. Happiness, according to this worldview, is not found in external circumstances, but within your own mind. Marcus Aurelius observed, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Applying this to relationships reveals a profound truth. Chasing others in the hope of finding happiness is a futile endeavor. Lasting contentment arises from cultivating gratitude, practicing acceptance, and finding peace within yourself. One of the central ideas in Stoicism is freedom from attachment to external outcomes. This concept becomes especially important in the realm of romantic pursuits. When faced with rejection or disappointment, the Stoic way is not to retaliate or seek validation. As Marcus Aurelius advised, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In relationships, this means refraining from petty responses and instead embracing emotional freedom. Let go of the need for approval from others. Find strength in your own sufficiency and let that inner stability guide your actions. Stoicism also offers a distinctive and noble approach to love. It champions a love that is virtuous, selfless, and enduring. Marcus Aurelius stated, "The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like that." In terms of love, this implies rising above emotional games or manipulative tactics. True Stoic love is grounded in respect, understanding, and a spirit of selflessness. It's about lifting others up, not dragging them into emotional turmoil. This form of love seeks connection without control and honors others without demanding anything in return. Having explored the Stoic ideals that steer us away from chasing and toward a more meaningful experience of relationships, it's important to understand how to embody these teachings in daily life. Begin by dedicating time to self-reflection, a foundational practice in Stoicism. Reflect on your past relationships and observe the patterns that have emerged. Consider why certain connections succeeded or failed, and examine the expectations you held. Were they realistic? How did they shape the outcome? By gaining clarity on your own emotional responses and thought patterns, you position yourself to make more reasoned and deliberate choices in the future. As Marcus Aurelius advised, stop debating what a good man should be, and simply be one. Direct your focus towards self-improvement, not to win admiration, but to live a life grounded in virtue and strength. Engage in activities that enrich your character, pursue hobbies, expand your knowledge, and develop skills that bring you joy and fulfillment. Personal growth should be the reward in itself, not a tool for external validation. Patience is another vital virtue that must be developed. Often, the urge to pursue romantic interests is driven by a desire for instant gratification. This impatience can lead to poor decisions and emotional turbulence. Practicing patience allows you to slow down, consider your choices carefully, and respond to situations with calm wisdom. In relationships, this means waiting for genuine compatibility to emerge rather than forcing a connection based on fleeting desire. In the midst of seeking companionship, it's easy to become overly focused on what you lack. This is why cultivating gratitude is essential. By appreciating the good already present in your life, your health, your mind, your experiences, and your friendships, you shift your focus from scarcity to abundance. Gratitude grounds you in the present and reminds you that your life is already rich with meaning. This shift in mindset transforms your approach to relationships, enabling you to engage with others from a place of fullness rather than need. Through self-reflection, self-improvement, patience, and gratitude, Stoicism offers a powerful framework for transforming your experience of love and relationships. Rather than chasing women or seeking fulfillment outside yourself, you begin to understand that the most meaningful connections are built from a foundation of inner strength, clarity, and authenticity. Cultivating gratitude is essential when it comes to relationships, especially in the pursuit of women. Often it's easy to become fixated on what you don't have instead of appreciating what you do. To shift this mindset, begin practicing gratitude regularly. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that very little is needed to lead a happy life. It lies entirely within you and in your way of thinking. By taking a moment each day to acknowledge and reflect on the things you are grateful for, you can nurture a deeper sense of contentment within yourself. This simple but powerful habit helps reduce the urge to seek validation from external sources and keeps you grounded in what truly matters. When interacting with women, it's vital to honor their autonomy and personal choices. Everyone has their own path, their own desires, and their own timing. It's neither wise nor respectful to try to alter someone's perspective just to fit your expectations. Instead, approach each person with a mindset of acceptance and respect for their individuality. If someone isn't interested in you, move on with grace and without bitterness. Respecting their choice affirms your own strength and dignity. Rejection is something we all face, and it should never be seen as a judgment of your value or identity. When it happens, apply the Stoic principle of reframing adversity. Rather than taking rejection personally, see it as a chance to grow stronger, to develop more resilience and emotional control. Rejection is not a label on your character. It is merely an event, a moment from which you can learn and evolve. Let it strengthen you rather than define you. Redirect your energy from chasing romantic pursuits to creating deeper, more meaningful connections. Focus on engaging with people in an authentic and respectful way. When you show genuine interest and bring sincerity to your interactions, you build relationships that are rooted in mutual understanding and respect. These kinds of bonds are more fulfilling and sustainable over time because they are based on real connection rather than superficial pursuits. A key teaching in Stoicism is to let go of the constant need for external validation. Instead of seeking approval or attention from others, turn inward and cultivate a strong sense of self-worth. When you become emotionally self-sufficient and confident in who you are, you free yourself from chasing validation through relationships or public approval. Inner strength becomes your anchor, and it gives you the freedom to engage with the world without desperation or neediness. Emotional control is another pillar of Stoic practice and plays a crucial role in healthy relationships. Learning to manage your emotions and maintain your composure, even in emotionally charged situations, allows you to navigate relationship dynamics with clarity and integrity. When you stay calm and rational, you are better equipped to handle misunderstandings and conflicts without becoming reactive or losing your sense of self. Stoicism also encourages the pursuit of love that is grounded in virtue. This means that love should not be about temporary pleasure or ego-driven desire, but about cultivating a connection rooted in wisdom, justice, courage, and self-discipline. A love based on these values fosters respect, selflessness, and mutual growth. Strive to build relationships that reflect moral principles and deeper purpose rather than fleeting excitement. While Stoic philosophy offers valuable guidance in reframing how we approach dating, it also provides timeless wisdom for nurturing long-term relationships. The same principles that help you detach from unhealthy pursuits are equally important in building and maintaining meaningful partnerships over time. At the core of Stoicism is the idea of living a virtuous life. To apply this in a committed relationship, let your thoughts, actions, and choices be shaped by wisdom, justice, courage, and self-discipline. Aim to be a partner who embodies these values and seek someone who also upholds a virtuous character. A relationship rooted in shared virtue has the potential to thrive and endure. Self-control remains essential not only in the early stages of connection, but throughout the entirety of a relationship. Whether dealing with disagreements, stress, or daily challenges, your ability to pause, reflect, and respond with reason rather than impulse is crucial. Stoicism reminds us to take a step back and assess situations calmly, which prevents unnecessary conflict and deepens mutual understanding. Patience is a virtue often tested in long-term relationships. As time passes, challenges will arise, and not everything will unfold according to your expectations. Stoicism teaches you to accept this reality with grace. Embracing patience allows you to face difficulties with a long view, appreciating that growth takes time. Through patience, you strengthen your relationship and cultivate a deeper appreciation for the journey you're on together. Just as you respected a woman's autonomy during courtship, it's vital to continue honoring your partner's individuality in a committed relationship. A healthy partnership supports each person's unique goals and personal freedom. Mutual respect means recognizing that both of you are separate individuals walking your own paths, even as you choose to walk them side by side. Even in lasting relationships, forms of rejection can still appear, disagreements, differing perspectives, or emotional changes. Instead of viewing these moments as failures, see them through a Stoic lens, opportunities to grow, adapt, and improve. Accepting rejection or disappointment without bitterness fosters emotional maturity and strengthens the relationship over time. As your relationship deepens, keep nurturing the connection that brought you together. Never stop investing in open communication, shared values, and mutual respect. These elements are the bedrock of any lasting partnership. Continue building on that foundation with honesty and presence, so the relationship remains authentic and deeply rewarding as it evolves. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches that true fulfillment doesn't come from outside of us, but from within. In a long-term relationship, this means understanding that your partner is not responsible for your inner peace or happiness. You must cultivate contentment within yourself, independent of your external circumstances. This self-sourced serenity enriches your relationship and makes you a more stable, supportive, and loving partner. This means that you should not depend on your partner to consistently provide you with happiness or fulfillment. Instead, focus on cultivating contentment within yourself and share that sense of inner peace with your partner. True happiness and fulfillment come from within, and by nurturing your own well-being, you can bring a sense of calm and joy to the relationship, enhancing both your life and your partner's. In long-term relationships, it's important to avoid becoming overly attached in a way that could harm both individuals. Stoicism teaches the value of maintaining freedom from attachment to external factors, even when you are deeply committed to someone. This sense of freedom allows you to love your partner without becoming dependent on them for your happiness. The ability to love freely without relying on your partner for emotional stability strengthens the relationship and fosters a healthier connection. Stoic love, especially in long-term relationships, is a form of love that transcends temporary desires and is characterized by selflessness, understanding, and a commitment to the well-being of your partner. This type of love seeks to uplift both individuals, prioritizing the growth and improvement of each person involved. Rather than being driven by fleeting attractions or emotions, Stoic love focuses on a deeper connection based on mutual respect and support. Maintaining emotional control is a cornerstone of any successful long-term relationship. While the early stages of a relationship may be filled with passion, the real test comes with the passage of time. Long-term relationships will inevitably challenge your emotional stability, but Stoicism equips you with the tools to remain composed and rational even when dealing with complex dynamics. The ability to control your emotions, respond calmly to difficulties, and remain grounded during tough times will help ensure that your relationship remains strong and fulfilling over time. As you continue on your journey in a long-term relationship, the Stoic principles you've embraced offer invaluable guidance in navigating the ups and downs. These teachings, particularly those of Marcus Aurelius, emphasize the importance of virtue, self-control, patience, respect, and emotional composure. By integrating these ideals into your daily life, you can build a lasting relationship rooted in mutual growth, respect, and a profound connection. In doing so, you not only avoid the temptation to chase after fleeting desires, but also cultivate a bond that brings lasting joy and contentment. By embracing the Stoic path to love and relationships, you align yourself with a philosophy that fosters lasting happiness. Remember the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, who said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By applying these Stoic teachings, you can nurture a fulfilling, enduring, and virtuous long-term relationship, one where happiness is found within yourself and shared harmoniously with your partner. Have you ever felt like time is slipping away from you in the blink of an eye? But what if I told you it's not just time passing you by? What if some of your everyday routines, those habits you believe are harmless, are quietly chipping away at your youth and energy? Many of these so-called small habits are silently aging both your body and mind without your awareness. Yes, I'm referring to those overlooked details in your daily life that seem insignificant. You might think everything is under control, but in reality, they're gradually wearing you down. Stoic philosophy urges us to focus on what truly matters, to conserve our energy for the things that bring us inner peace. But let me ask you, are you really prioritizing the essentials in your life? Perhaps it's time to stop sabotaging yourself and uncover those habits that you need to let go of, starting today. Make sure you stick around until the end, because the final point might just shock you. But before we dive in, I want to share a story that reveals the deeper truth behind this message. There once was a man named Andrew who lived in a peaceful village. He was a diligent farmer, well respected for the quality of his crops and his unwavering work ethic. Yet, despite being a young man, Andrew looked aged beyond his years. His face bore lines of fatigue, and his body seemed burdened with a weight far too heavy for someone so young. One day, while tending to his fields, an old wise man passed by and said, "You carry the years heavily on your shoulders, though your youth is still with you. What burden makes you look so worn?" Andrew was taken aback and began to reflect on his daily habits. He realized that he rarely paused to rest, that he often skipped meals or ate hastily without real nourishment. He barely drank enough water, and he hardly slept. His nights were restless, filled with anxiety over his harvest. To fight off exhaustion, he relied heavily on caffeine and sugar. The old man listened and nodded thoughtfully. "Andrew," he said, "bad habits are like drops of water on a rock. They seem harmless, but over time they carve deep scars. Not sleeping well, neglecting your body, relying on stimulants that give quick energy but drain you in the long run, all these cause your body to age before its time." Curious and concerned, Andrew asked how he could change this. The old man responded, "Care for your body as you would your crops. Give it rest. Nourish it with what truly feeds it. Good habits, when cultivated, will restore your strength and bring vitality back into your life." From that day, Andrew made small but intentional changes. He began sleeping better, staying hydrated, and reducing his intake of stimulants. Gradually, people around him noticed the difference. His eyes sparkled again, his skin looked healthier, and his energy returned. He had learned a powerful truth. Those little habits we ignore can slowly drain the life from us, and if we're not mindful, we might wither without even noticing. Just as a plant needs consistent care to grow strong and vibrant, so too does our body need love, rest, and attention. The takeaway from Andrew's story is clear. What we perceive as minor, everyday routines might actually be silently exhausting us. If we truly want to preserve our well-being, we must first look at how we live. Before we explore the first lesson, if you find value in these insights, I encourage you to subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay connected so you never miss new content that can help you improve your life. Let's begin by talking about one of the most common yet underestimated habits: not getting enough sleep. Have you ever stopped to wonder why coffee is almost universally accepted as the lifeblood of the modern workforce? It's because so many of us are functioning on less than the recommended 8 hours of sleep each night. We've glorified sleep deprivation, thinking it's a symbol of drive and ambition, an emblem of success. But here's the truth bomb. Skimping on sleep isn't just draining your energy, it's accelerating your aging process faster than a banana left out in the sun. Let me explain. When you sleep, your body enters repair mode. It's like a crew of miniature workers set to restore and upgrade everything that got worn down during the day. They patch up tissues, regenerate cells, and help you bounce back from stress. But if you cut that work shift short, don't be surprised when you wake up with new wrinkles, dark circles under your eyes, big enough to hide a kitten, and skin that looks like a deflated balloon. Sleep deprivation doesn't just make you feel groggy, it disrupts your circulation, leaving your cells undernourished. It's like throwing a party, but forgetting to invite enough guests. Everything feels off, and the results are chaotic. So how did we get here? Beyond the obvious love-hate relationship with your alarm clock, certain nighttime habits creep in like a silent cat. Binge-watching shows until sunrise, constantly checking your phone for the next meme, or guzzling caffeine like you're preparing for an apocalypse. All of these habits combine into a perfect storm, a recipe called How to Become a Premature Zombie. So how do you reverse this trajectory? The answer is refreshingly simple. Establish a routine. Your body craves consistency, so try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's about giving yourself the grace to rest. Create a sleep-friendly environment. Embrace the darkness, draw the curtains, turn off the lights. Use earplugs or an eye mask if needed. Your bedroom should be a sanctuary of calm, not a three-ring circus. And don't forget that bright screen glaring back at you. Put your phone away at least an hour before bed. Trust me, the world will survive a few hours without your social media updates. Instead, wind down with a good book or a short meditation. Stoic philosophy reminds us to seek calm amid the storm, so bring that wisdom into your nights. You'll soon feel the difference, and next time you feel smug about pulling another all-nighter, remember your body is filing a complaint. You're fast-tracking the aging process. Care for yourself, because in this one precious life, there is no reset button. And if all else fails, remember this. True wisdom isn't measured in hours worked, but in the quality of your rest. Honor your need for sleep, and your body will reward you. Now let's move on to something just as impactful: daily stress. Have you ever felt like a circus performer juggling too many things at once? Your job, your family, your responsibilities. That's what stress feels like in modern life. It's become as normal as the scent of coffee in the morning or late-night phone notifications. But here's what most people don't realize. Stress doesn't just weigh on your mind. It etches itself into your skin, aging you faster than you think. Let's talk about stress hormones: cortisol, epinephrine, and adrenaline. These are the emergency responders in your body designed to help you in times of crisis. But like those friends who mean well but overstay their welcome, they become toxic if they hang around too long. While they help regulate blood pressure and immune response, excessive cortisol also breaks down your skin's elasticity, leaving your face looking tired and worn, like you haven't slept in a week. But don't worry, I'm not here to scare you. Daily stress doesn't just stem from big dramatic events. Often it's found in those subtle choices we make. Skipping your workout because the couch looks too inviting, eating a tub of ice cream every time something goes wrong. These are the sneaky habits that add up over time and take a toll on your body and mind. So, what's the antidote? You don't have to move to a mountaintop or live like a monk. The solution is simpler than you think. Meditation. Yes, that practice we often associate with monks in robes or spiritual gurus. But in reality, meditation and mindfulness are completely accessible, and they don't require much time, money, or effort. Just a few minutes a day, imagine yourself sitting quietly in a peaceful corner of your home. It's like having a small oasis right in the middle of the daily chaos. As you slowly breathe in, imagine calmness flowing into you, and with every exhale, picture the stress leaving your body. There are simple exercises you can do right there at home, like focusing on your breathing or visualizing a peaceful place that brings you a sense of serenity. These practices not only help reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, but they also provide a clearer, more composed perspective on whatever problems you're facing. Who knows, maybe in that moment of clarity, you'll realize that ice cream isn't always the answer, and that a peaceful walk in the park might do more for your soul. And speaking of renewal, let's not forget what the Stoics taught us about dealing with life's challenges. Face adversity with calm and strength. Instead of letting stress sweep you away like a storm, try adopting a Stoic mindset. Accept that life will inevitably throw obstacles in your path, but also remind yourself you already have the tools to handle them. Stress might be a powerful adversary, but it doesn't have to win. By managing your exposure to stressful situations and incorporating practices like meditation, you won't just lower your cortisol levels, you'll gain clarity, focus, and emotional balance. Always remember, life is like a game of chess. Sometimes, the smartest move is simply to pause, take a breath, and think carefully about what comes next. And when stress starts knocking on your door again, breathe deeply and remember the wise words of Epictetus. Calm is the refuge of the wise. Now let's talk about something more visible. Smoking. Have you ever stopped to consider what tobacco really does to your skin? If you think it's just a small indulgence, allow me to be your voice of reason, or if you prefer, the voice of smoke. Smoking isn't just a habit that stains your teeth and leaves a lingering smell on your breath. It's a stealthy thief that slowly robs your skin of its youth. Tobacco is one of those enemies that sneaks up on you, and before you know it, the damage is already done. But let's break this down in a more honest and reflective way, maybe even with a pinch of sarcasm. Think of smoking like inviting a group of Stoic philosophers to your birthday party, only to watch them walk off with all your gifts. What do the Stoics have to do with this, you ask? Well, imagine those ancient thinkers were the guardians of your skin. They valued reason and living in harmony with nature. So how does inhaling toxic smoke fit into that idea of natural living? Tobacco deprives your skin of oxygen and essential nutrients that it needs to glow. Worse yet, it triggers mischievous enzymes that chip away at your skin's elasticity. It's as if your skin is quietly crying out, "Where's my collagen?" But it doesn't stop there. The toxins in cigarette smoke disrupt the oxygenation process at a cellular level. Picture your skin constantly fighting for air, like trying to run a marathon with a plastic bag over your head. A lack of oxygen severely affects your skin's ability to regenerate, leaving you looking more tired and aged. So, if you're among those who think those little indulgences don't have a long-term impact on your appearance, think again. Each puff is like a thief, silently creeping into your home, stealing your youth and leaving behind wrinkles and dullness. Some party, huh? So what's the way out? Beyond considering a complete lifestyle change, Quitting smoking is definitely a great place to start. But there are also additional strategies you can adopt. First, think about the importance of hydration. Your skin is like a plant. If you don't water it, it withers. So why not flood your life with water and ditch the harmful smoke? Embracing healthy lifestyle habits is crucial too. Fill your diet with fresh fruits and vegetables rich in antioxidants. They're like little warriors fighting off the invisible enemies left behind by smoking. And don't forget about exercise. Not only does it boost your circulation, but it's also an excellent way to reduce stress. At the end of the day, the choice is entirely yours. You can live in denial, convincing yourself that smoking doesn't really affect your looks, or you can reclaim your power and start caring for your skin with intention. Just like the Stoics, who believed in reason and self-discipline, you too can shape your destiny. Sure, life is full of fleeting pleasures, but your skin will thank you in the long run if you choose the path of wellness. As Brian Tracy wisely said, youth may be a gift from nature, but aging gracefully is a true work of art. Speaking of things that age us, let's talk about water, or rather, the lack of it. When was the last time you looked in the mirror? If it's been a while, you might be in for a surprise that looks like something straight out of a horror flick. Yes, your skin might not be the vibrant, glowing masterpiece it once was. And why? Because you're probably not drinking enough water. Come on, let's be honest. Drinking a couple of liters of water a day isn't exactly climbing Everest. But somehow, in the hustle of modern life, it often feels like we don't even have time to fill a glass. And yet, hydration is about so much more than just quenching thirst. Think of your skin again as a plant. Water it well, and it blooms. Let it dry out, and it withers. When you neglect water, your skin becomes dull and rough. You're not just hurting your appearance, you're also building up toxins like a walking, talking landfill. According to experts, men should aim for around 2.5 liters of water a day. That's about 11 cups, like you're preparing for some hydration championship. Women need about 2 liters, or roughly 8 cups, to maintain balance. But let's be real. Most of us don't even come close to those numbers. Life gets in the way. Work, social media, the endless streaming of your favorite series, all these distractions leave us wandering through life dehydrated, like a human desert. Fixing this isn't as hard as it sounds. Make hydration a habit. Carry a water bottle with you everywhere and think of it as your most loyal companion, always whispering, "Hey, don't forget about me." Tie your water intake to specific parts of your day. Drink a glass every time you sit down to work or after you complete a task. This way, hydration becomes a part of your rhythm, not just something you remember when your throat gets dry. If plain water feels dull, spice it up with a few slices of lemon, cucumber, or mint. Suddenly, your boring drink turns into something worthy of a high-end spa, right in your kitchen. And yes, this is where Stoic philosophy makes another entrance. It may sound odd to bring up ancient thinkers in a conversation about water, but hear me out. The Stoics taught us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. If you can't change the dullness in your skin overnight, you can at least make the conscious choice to drink more water today. It's a small step, but one that carries great impact. In the end, ignoring hydration may seem harmless, but it's one of those tiny habits that lead you directly down the path of premature aging. If you care about your skin and your health overall, drinking enough water should be non-negotiable. Think of your body as a sacred space. Like any temple, it requires regular care. Let me leave you with a little reflection. Life, my friend, is like water. If you don't care for it, it vanishes before you even realize it's gone. And now, let's dive into another sneaky culprit: caffeine. That magical potion we cling to in the morning as if it were divine nectar, turning us from grumpy zombies into functioning humans. But have you ever really asked yourself if caffeine is your loyal ally or your secret saboteur? Let's face it, what starts as a harmless ritual can quickly spiral into a jittery dependence that leaves you wired, anxious, and crashing by midday. If you've ever questioned whether caffeine is lifting you up or dragging you down, this one's for you. Think of yourself as a high-performance sports car speeding down the highway. Coffee might be the fuel that powers you, but pour in too much and you're bound to crash. Stoicism teaches us the importance of moderation and self-control, and nowhere is that more relevant than in our daily caffeine habits. In moderate doses, caffeine isn't the enemy. It has antioxidants, and a couple of cups a day can even improve your concentration. But everything has a limit. Experts suggest sticking to no more than 2 caffeinated drinks per day. And if you're a fan of coffee, organic green tea, or black tea, you're in luck. Those are among the healthiest choices. But what happens if you ignore those guidelines? That's when the chaos kicks in. Caffeine overstimulates your nervous system like a hamster sprinting endlessly on a wheel. Your heart races, your mind becomes restless, and suddenly anxiety crashes the party like an unwanted guest. But don't worry, this isn't the end of your story. There are ways to escape the trap, and they begin with awareness, balance, and making wiser, more intentional choices. First, set a firm boundary. 2 cups, no more. Think of it as if you were a Stoic, someone who chooses to forego temporary indulgence in favor of long-term well-being. If it feels like coffee has become your constant companion, it might be time for a serious self-reflection. Also, remember the golden 6-hour rule. Avoid consuming caffeine within 6 hours of your bedtime. It's a simple yet powerful guideline. Often, what your body really craves isn't another cup of coffee, but a refreshing walk outside, a quiet moment with a good book, or even a few minutes of meditation. These practices can help restore your calm and ease the anxiety that caffeine can sometimes bring. And if you find yourself caught in the endless loop of caffeine dependence, consider replacing some of your drinks with caffeine-free alternatives. Initially, you may feel like you're parting ways with a trusted old friend. But just like the old saying reminds us, sometimes letting go is the only way to move forward. Caffeine can be your ally or your downfall, depending on how wisely you choose to use it. Learning to consume it in moderation will allow you to enjoy its advantages without suffering the consequences. As the Stoics taught, balance is essential. So next time you're tempted to dive into a coffee binge, pause and consider your future self. Ask yourself if it's really worth the price. As Marcus Aurelius once noted, true strength lies not in what you take in, but in what you choose to leave out. Now let's talk about something equally vital: neglecting physical exercise. Have you noticed how the couch has become your best buddy? That warm, comfy space where you lounge for hours, binging shows or scrolling endlessly online. At best, maybe you're mentally planning your dream life while munching on a bag of chips. Ah, the sweet trap of a sedentary lifestyle. That silent thief of youth that whispers, just a bit longer, even though deep down you know better. Let's be honest, it does cause harm. But here's the good news. Just 45 minutes of daily movement can be your ticket to feeling young again, or at least becoming a healthier version of yourself. Think of your body like a vintage car, the kind people admire at classic shows. If you leave it sitting too long, the paint fades, the engine rusts, and before you know it, you're spending a fortune trying to fix it. Your muscles, bones, and joints work the same way. If they're not in motion, the aging process accelerates faster than you might expect. A sedentary lifestyle speeds up premature aging, and before long you'll be closer to grandparent status than your best self. Health experts recommend at least 45 minutes of physical activity each day. But before you roll your eyes and imagine yourself drowning in sweat at the gym, let me stop you. There's no need to become a fitness fanatic to meet this goal. The secret lies in discovering an activity you genuinely enjoy. It could be lifting weights, like those action movie heroes, or dancing around your living room, or simply taking a walk while listening to your favorite podcast. Every bit counts. Resistance training, in particular, is one of the best ways to fight aging. And no, you don't have to aim for a bodybuilder physique. Just a pair of dumbbells or using your body weight can lead to noticeable improvements. The goal is to challenge your body, not torture it. Stoic teachings remind us that control and discipline are the cornerstones of a fulfilling life. So why not apply that philosophy to your daily routine? Find an exercise you truly like, and that 45-minute window will become a cherished part of your day, a little retreat for your well-being. Still not convinced? Consider the alternative. A sedentary lifestyle doesn't just shorten your life, it increases your risk for heart disease. Think of your heart like the engine of that classic car. If you neglect it, it may fail when you need it most. Just a few minutes of movement each day can create a world of difference. So the next time you're tempted to keep streaming episode after episode, remember, your body needs love too, and movement is its favorite language. Less than 45 minutes a day doesn't sound so bad now, does it? Think of it as a daily act of self-love. Get up, stretch, and give your body what it deserves. Because doing nothing is the fastest way to grow old without ever truly living. Engrave this in your mind. Caring for your body is the first real step toward a life well lived. If you don't take charge, someone else might, but not in the way you'd want. Now let's dive into another sweet topic, quite literally, the overuse of sugar. Have you ever paused to really think about what sugar represents? Sure, it charms your taste buds, often feels like a trusted friend, and makes everything more delicious. But over time, it morphs into that one-party guest who just won't leave. Life's too precious to let a few sweets mess up your skin, your health, and most importantly, your future self. Sugar, that innocent-looking white powder we all adore, has earned its bad reputation for good reason. Did you know excessive sugar can lead to inflammation and acne? That's no urban legend. Those random breakouts might just be the lingering effects of that impulsive donut you inhaled earlier. And it doesn't stop at your skin. Sugar is a master of disguise. It clings to the proteins collagen and elastin through a process known as glycation. The result? Your skin becomes less elastic, and yes, that means wrinkles. Happy early birthday. But if you think that's the worst of it, think again. Sugar is one of the primary culprits behind high cholesterol and cardiovascular disease. If you thought cholesterol was just medical jargon doctors toss around to scare you, it's time for a reality check. Excess sugar doesn't just mess with your appearance, it endangers your heart, that tireless muscle responsible for pumping both blood and emotions throughout your body. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to guilt-trip you over every slice of cake you've enjoyed over the years. Instead, let's focus on practical steps. Cutting back on sugar in your coffee or soft drinks is a great start. But beware, sugar is sneaky. It lurks in countless processed foods, from sauces to snacks, hiding behind names like sucrose, fructose, and syrup. It's like a culinary ninja, quietly plotting your downfall. So, what can you do? First, become a food detective. Start reading labels and learn where sugar is hiding in plain sight. Take stock of your pantry and say goodbye to products that bring nothing but an overdose of sweetness. Try switching to natural alternatives like stevia or coconut sugar. Your skin and your heart will thank you. Embrace the wisdom of the Stoics and ask yourself what you truly need versus what's just a passing craving. Moderation is the secret weapon. The next time you find yourself longing for dessert, pause and remember, your health, your skin, and your future are all quietly watching. Don't let a fleeting pleasure grow into a damaging habit. Make moderation your superpower and become the hero of your own journey. After all, life is too precious to let sugar speed up your aging process. Every bite you take is a choice. Choose the path of wisdom, resilience, and well-being. Now let's talk about something often overlooked, but incredibly powerful: not smiling enough. Have you noticed those days when your smile feels like it's on a silent retreat, having vanished without a trace or explanation? That's not just a mood thing. It could be silently taking a toll on your physical well-being. You heard that right. Your emotional state does more than determine whether you're the life of the party or the quiet one sipping in the corner. It shapes your blood flow, your stress levels, and even how quickly time begins to reflect on your face. Think aging is just a natural process. Think again. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers whose wisdom still resonates in our age of selfies and fast food, understood the value of keeping a tranquil mind amid life's storms. They knew life could feel like a fast-moving river, filled with sharp rocks and cold waters. But rather than complain, they believed in building a small boat to float with resilience. Laughter, dear friend, is that boat's engine. It doesn't just feel good, it's scientifically proven to help. And yes, even science agrees, when it comes to smiling, there's more than meets the eye. The role of blood vessels goes beyond simply circulating blood. They also help in reducing stress and, in the best scenarios, even contribute to keeping you a bit younger. And the best part? You don't need miracle creams to make it happen. Let's face it, we often get trapped in what I call the cycle of seriousness, where every challenge feels like a chaotic storm of negative emotions dragging us into a pit of demotivation. In that state, we forget the simple joy of laughing at ourselves, at life's ridiculous moments, and yes, even at our own flaws. Life is packed with absurd events that, when viewed through the right lens, are comedy-worthy. So, how can we start stepping away from this heavy spiral of seriousness? There are some simple but powerful ways to begin. First, consider surrounding yourself with people who laugh easily, those friends who seem to find happiness in the most unexpected corners of life. A casual coffee meetup, watching a good comedy, or enjoying a board game can be a surprisingly effective antidote to gloominess. You can also try something called a laughter journal. Yes, it might sound a bit silly at first, but give it a shot. Every evening, jot down 3 things that made you smile or laugh during the day. You'll be amazed at how many small, joyful moments you've been overlooking. Over time, your brain will get into the habit of noticing these sparks of happiness, and laughter will begin to feel more natural, like a reflex rather than an effort. And don't underestimate the quiet power of meditation. Stoic philosophy teaches us to observe our emotions and thoughts without judgment, like clouds drifting by. By practicing meditation, you can clear the mental fog and rediscover those small rays of light that often get buried under stress. So, take a moment, inhale deeply, and let yourself smile. Let life flow, a little more lightly this time. To sum it up, taking life less seriously and smiling more isn't just something your grandmother would suggest. It's a real survival tactic in a world that often feels too heavy. The next time laughter feels far away, remind yourself that every smile is a small but powerful act of defiance against premature aging. Laughter, in case it hasn't been said enough, is truly medicine, one without side effects, but filled with undeniable benefits. Now, speaking of things that sabotage your vitality, let's talk about drastic diets. In this era of instant gratification, many people chase weight loss like it's a competitive sport, diving into the most extreme diets they can find. You know the type, the ones that promise miraculous results in record time, treating your body like a fixer-upper project that can be reshaped on demand. But what happens when these extreme restrictions start pushing you to your limits? That's when it's time to pause and ask yourself what self-care really means. Perhaps it's time to give a nod to the Stoics, who knew the value of balance and moderation. Picture this. You commit to such an intense diet that even the most hardened Stoic warriors would raise an eyebrow. Fasting on and off, swearing off entire food groups, treating nutrients like forbidden relics. Sounds like a heroic health plan, right? Meanwhile, your mind is fantasizing about becoming the next social media transformation star, but your body is quietly screaming for help. The truth is, extreme dieting sends your system into panic mode, and not the kind that's amusing when you see dramatic before and after photos. It's the kind that can fast-forward your biological clock, leaving you looking older than you feel. Let's break it down. When you lose weight too quickly, your skin often doesn't have time to catch up. The elasticity that once gave your skin a firm, youthful look begins to fade, and what's left can resemble a balloon that's lost its air, wrinkled and saggy. Imagine that. You want to look amazing for a party, but you end up looking like you've been wandering in a desert for a decade. So what's the solution? The Stoics would remind us, moderation and self-care are key. Instead of falling into the trap of fad diets, embrace a more mindful approach. Picture this, not eliminating entire food groups, but adopting a conscious way of eating where you actually listen to your body and nourish it with what it needs. That could mean savoring a piece of rich chocolate while also enjoying a salad bursting with fresh, nutritious ingredients. It's about striking that sweet balance, a graceful dance between what you crave and what truly sustains you. A great way to start is by keeping a food journal, not just logging what you eat, but also how each meal makes you feel. You might be surprised to learn how much your mood and energy are affected by the choices on your plate. With time, you'll begin making more informed, thoughtful decisions, steering clear of the kind of craziness that only leads to more chaos. The next time you feel tempted by promises of quick-fix weight loss, remember, your body isn't some factory you can push into overdrive. It's a temple, one that deserves respect, patience, and love. As the Stoics might put it, moderation is essential for a well-lived life. Forget the extreme diets that leave you drained and depleted. What really matters is how you feel in your own skin, not the number on the scale. Don't fall for the illusion of instant results. True well-being is built gradually with care and intention, not with punishing food rules or trends that fade with the season. Speaking of taking care of yourself, let's talk about something people often ignore: sunscreen. Have you ever noticed how most people only think about using sunscreen when they're about to roast on the beach? But the reality is, the sun never takes a day off. Even when you're sitting in the shade, sipping coffee, UV rays are still sneaking through, like that uninvited guest who always finds a way into the party. So do yourself a favor. Start using sunscreen every single day. Think of it as life insurance for your skin, without the monthly payments or the fine print. Here's the deal. Solar radiation isn't just a summer problem. It's a daily threat. And from a Stoic point of view, you could think of the sun as one of life's unavoidable hardships. But while Stoicism teaches us to accept what we can't control, it also teaches us to take action where we can. Using sunscreen, at least SPF 30, is a smart, proactive move. Even on cloudy days, you're building a shield against early aging. It's like carrying an umbrella when the sky looks uncertain. It might not rain, but if it does, you're ready. Consider sunscreen your daily armor. The Stoics believed virtue was essential for a fulfilling life, so why not apply that same wisdom to caring for your skin? Making sunscreen a part of your morning routine isn't just a beauty tip, it's an investment in your future. If you skip it, you may find your skin aging faster than that of your friends who somehow seem to have found the fountain of youth. Do you really want to be the one everyone stares at with quiet pity at the next reunion? Putting on sunscreen shouldn't be an afterthought. It's a daily ritual, like brushing your teeth. And remember, reapplication matters. Sunscreen wears off, especially when you're at the beach, working out, or sweating under the summer sun. Reapply every 2 hours if you want real protection. Not all sunscreens are created equal either. Choose one that feels good on your skin, something that won't leave you greasier than a cheeseburger. There are lightweight formulas now, even ones with a touch of color that enhance your look while protecting your skin. And please, share the knowledge. Talk to your family and friends about the importance of daily sunscreen. You might just save someone from future regret or wrinkles. Don't be that person who only reaches for sunscreen when they're headed to the beach. That's like saying no to veggies because fries taste better. Your skin deserves more than that. Be the hero in your own story. Start protecting your skin now, before it's too late. Remember, life is full of choices, and this is one of the smarter ones. As any Hollywood icon would say, your skin is your first outfit, so protect it, and do it with flair. Now, let's touch on another silent mistake that many people make: not going to their medical checkups. Remember that little thrill of rebellion you felt the last time you skipped a doctor's appointment? As if avoiding it somehow gave you control over the system, as if not showing up for that routine visit made you free from all the medical jargon, the cryptic lab reports, and the eternally cheerful nurse who always smiles like she's in a competition. But here's the truth. That so-called freedom might actually be a gilded cage. It feels nice for a while, but it's still a trap. At the end of the day, medical checkups isn't just another tedious task to cross off your list. It's often a life-saving act that far too many people overlook. According to recent university research conducted this very year, routine checkups can help detect illnesses or health issues in up to 90% of individuals. Yes, 90%. If that statistic doesn't give you a strong reason to pick up the phone and schedule a doctor's appointment, it might be time to reassess your sense of logic. So, how often should you actually be seeing your doctor for a routine exam? The answer is as straightforward as picking something off a restaurant menu. Up to the age of 40, you're generally advised to get a checkup every 4 years. Between the ages of 40 and 60, things become a bit more serious, and a visit every 2 years is recommended. Once you cross the age of 60, regular yearly visits should become part of your normal routine, making you something of a familiar face in the waiting room. Here's something even more surprising. Many health insurance plans actually include free annual checkups. So if you're in the market for a new insurance provider, make sure those health screenings are part of the package. We live in a fast-paced world where time slips through our fingers and days turn into weeks before we even realize it. Amidst all that, taking a moment to care for your health might be the best and most meaningful gift you can give to yourself. Let's talk about the small, often unnoticed habits that are silently speeding up your aging process faster than a banana left out in the sun. Modern life bombards us with temptations: fast food, non-stop stress, sleepless nights, and that late-night Netflix binge that feels like it'll never end. Every time you skip a routine medical exam, it's like giving a free meal to the beast called negligence. The truth is, some of the most harmful habits are the ones that creep in so subtly you hardly notice them. Smoking just one cigarette, skipping breakfast here and there, or reaching for snacks instead of meals. Then one day, you find yourself Googling mysterious symptoms, and spoiler alert, that rabbit hole never ends well. But don't worry, all is not lost. There are ways to shift direction, to start reclaiming control. Begin by adding small yet powerful habits into your daily rhythm. Maybe it's going for a 30-minute walk, enjoying a nutritious breakfast, or taking 5 minutes to simply breathe and meditate. Over time, these minor shifts can lead to major improvements in your physical health and mental clarity. They also train you to listen more closely to what your body is telling you, so that when it's time for your next checkup, you'll approach it with confidence, not dread or guilt. Life doesn't hit the pause button, and neither should you. Ignoring your checkups is like hoping it won't rain just because you don't want to get wet. But storms will come whether we like it or not. Don't let the daily grind dull your awareness. Take care of yourself the same way you so attentively care for your online presence. Health isn't just about not being sick. It's a full-spectrum sense of wellness, and sometimes the best way to measure it is through those regular appointments with your doctor. So, next time you're tempted to skip that follow-up or ignore that reminder call, remember what the Stoics taught us. True wisdom lies in foreseeing what may come and preparing for it in advance. Nelson Mandela once said that health is the first step toward achieving success, and he couldn't have been more right. So don't neglect that essential part of your journey. Make sure to check in on your health from time to time. If you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment that says, "Health is the most precious asset." I'd love to hear your positive stories and how staying on top of your health has changed your life. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment to help others find this kind of content. It keeps us motivated to create more value-packed videos for people like you. Be sure to watch the